in a world. We had some technical difficulties. I went live, but it had the wrong thing on Restream, and it had the wrong title, and I had to try to redo it. It was a whole ordeal. Here we are. Hopefully everything sounds good. We're going to get into it. Tonight's stream is titled Hurricane Ian. As you know, Florida just had a hurricane. It's actually headed up towards where I am now, South Carolina. And got me thinking. I started looking into it. I thought, well, isn't that convenient that they were about to launch Artemis as a test with their Moonikins? And, you know, oh, gas leak, oh, crack, oh, it's not working, another leak. And then they pushed it back to the end of September, and then boom, hurricane, too windy, we can't do it. I'm like, well, isn't that convenient? So I want to look into what's going on, right? Austin, hey, any word on debate with Professor Dave? We need you, bro. The dude's still scared to debate on modern day debate. So, I mean, there's not much I can do about that. I'm not going to go on like the Tight Shirts channel. So, no word as of yet. Another postponement. Yeah, exactly. So I started looking into this weather modification thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play the trailer. I guess YouTube has a dope little feature they added now where for the live streams you can do a trailer. So what we're going to do is for every gravy stream, I'm going to drop a little 2 to 3 minute trailer for it. Maybe a bunch of you guys saw it. I'm kind of salty that the stream I had put up this whole time with the likes and this trailer, I had to redo it, but stuff happens. So I'm going to play the 2-minute trailer for this stream, and then we're going to get into it. So roll the footage. Oh yeah. So those are of course real quotes. We're gonna get into it. We have got so much to cover. I'm gonna try to cover it all. We might have to do a part 2 maybe tomorrow. There is so much information about this. I saw someone say cloud seeding with silver iodide. That is part of it, but it is really the only part that they like to publicly acknowledge. Okay, so let's get into it. We got a ton of information to cover. It's crazy, man. It's really crazy. I didn't even realize how crazy it was, honestly. That was great, Austin. Thank you. Okay. This is one of the many documents we'll be covering, but let me should be good. Okay, cool. So yeah, before we get started, here you go is the website. Where I'm kind of updating it as we go. But if you go up here, I saw some people asking. You go up here to beside the login to the drop down menu. You'll have Patreon, Rockfin, PayPal, Discord, stream resources. If you click on this, it'll be a Telegram link. That's where we'll be dropping all the PDFs and resources from the stream whenever we cover. So that's just a channel. Then you have the Telegram group right here where we can chat. Of course, we also have the Discord. Like I said, I haven't set the merch store up yet, so I wouldn't buy anything from there. I haven't set it up yet. All right, cool. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through this link here. So in the video you saw that one of the quotes was from the Secretary of Defense, William Cohen. This was at an April 1997 counterterrorism conference sponsored by the former Senator Sam Nunn. And it was a news briefing at the Conference on Terrorism, Weapons of Mass Destruction, and U.S. Strategy, University of Georgia in Athens. All right, so his quote is, "Other terrorists are engaging even in an eco type of terrorism whereby they can alter the climate, set off earthquakes, volcanoes remotely through the use of electromagnetic waves. So there are plenty of ingenious minds out there that are at work finding ways in which they can wreak terror upon other nations. It's real, and that's the reason why we have to intensify our counterterrorism efforts." Again, this is 1997. Secretary of Defense of the United States sitting there telling you technology exists in which weather can be weaponized using electromagnetic waves to set off earthquakes and volcanoes. Okay, so all those crying conspiracy theory from the beginning probably should do some research. Okay? All right, we're going to get into it further. This part is also very interesting. This was also in the trailer. So Congressman Dennis Kucinich, I don't know how to say his name, submitted a bill number HR 2977IH. Like I said, if you go to the Telegram group, I already have a bunch of PDFs dropped in there. Maybe throughout the stream, and certainly after the stream, I'll drop all the resources. There's so much information about this, it's insane. So we're going to try to get into it all. I have a ton of notes here. All right, so in this bill, this is what it says. The terms weapons and weapon systems mean a device capable of any of the following: directing a source of energy, including molecular or atomic energy, subatomic particle beams, also known as pseudoscientific reification fallacies. Obviously, the phenomena is real, though. Electromagnetic radiation, plasma, or extremely low frequency ELF. Keep that in mind. That will come up quite a bit. Ultra low frequency ULF also will come up quite a bit. Energy radiation against that object, inflicting death or injury on, or damaging or destroying a person or the biological life, bodily health, mental health, or physical and economic well-being of a person through the use of land-based, sea-based, or quote-unquote space-based systems using radiation, electromagnetic, psychotronic, sonic, laser, or other energies directed at individual persons or targeted populations for the purpose of information war, mood management, or mind control of such persons or populations. Oh, just a conspiracy theory. B, such terms include exotic weapon systems such as electronic, psychotronic, or information weapons. Chemtrails. Oh, chemtrails I thought were just a conspiracy theory. They're just contrails. Remember that? Of course, contrails dissipate very quickly. Chemtrails do not. Oftentimes, I will say, a lot of truthers do automatically assume that they're all chemtrails. They are not. Chemtrails don't seem to be too much of a conspiracy. That word doesn't mean anything. That doesn't actually exist. It actually objectively does. Actually put that in the trailer as well. I'll upload the trailer. I will also be creating a new Instagram called WitsitGetsIt, unless someone goes and steals it because they're lame. People are lame nowadays. Almost should go do it right now. Sorry, I gotta do it. Actually, I can't do it with you guys looking at it anyway. Yikes. Honestly, if someone does that, they're just super lame. Forgive me, but I shouldn't have said it out loud. But anyway, we're gonna create this new Instagram. Oh no. I'm sorry, but I just know there's gonna be some Glover that's gonna try to go. And steal this. That's the world we live in. Okay. Almost done, sorry. Anyway, so I'm gonna start making trailers for all the gravy streams. And you can find all the trailers on this new Instagram, WitsitGetsIt. All right, boom, we got it. We got it created. All right, sorry for the distraction here, but I've just been around the block. I know how these people are. You gotta imagine how lame you have to be to do stuff like that, but you gotta admit, I did make that Instagram very quickly. Confirmation code loading. All right, so let's get back into it. So again, obviously chemtrails aren't too much of a conspiracy theory as they're sitting here in a freaking legislative bill proposed. All right, we got it. We're in there like swimwear. So what's Eclipse it? Hey, welcome to second level. What a legend. The Whirlwind Music became a new member. Everyone give him a round of applause. Became a Miswit. Yay. Thank you for signing up to become a Miswit. Whirlwind Music. Greatly appreciated. As you can see here in the bottom left, we are drastically away from the goal here. 300. You guys want to help a brother out, become a member. Maybe we can get this up to the goal for the end of next month. Do it off screen real quick. Yeah, I did that pretty quick. You already followed me. Nicely done. Like I said, that'll be dope. It'll be all the clips. All right, so let's continue. Information weapons, chemtrails, high altitude, ultra low frequency weapon systems, plasma, electromagnetic, sonic, or ultrasonic weapons, laser weapon systems, strategic, theater, tactical, or extraterrestrial weapons, and chemical, biological, environmental, climate, or tectonic weapons. Climate or tectonic weapons. What? That's weird, right? Okay, moving on. Now I have all these different documents. By the way, when I was researching this, probably 70% of the things that my research brought me to, I had to go to the Wayback Machine. Couldn't even find all of it. I wonder why they're hiding all this and taking it all down. Isn't that weird? Isn't that weird? It's a conspiracy theory, though. Okay, the European Union has called America's HAARP program a global concern. There is no globe. And in 2010 demanded more information about it. I said it's good luck with that. So, and I do have that. I'm gonna breeze through this. I'm gonna pull up a bunch of the documents, substantiate it. Again, you can go to Telegram and get the information. Let's see here. It says China, Japan, Russia, Venezuela, Haiti have all accused America of creating earthquakes. I have all the documents. Alex Jones. I've got the documents. So I'll show them to you in a second. Let's see here. It says for any skeptics, remember the Manhattan Project, where basically no one knew about it at all. Okay, well, HAARP immediately can be used. So this is admittedly what HAARP could be used to do. Fire pulsed directed energy beams in a variety of electromagnetic frequencies into the ionosphere to temporarily excite a limited area. I want to go full screen for this real fast. So HAARP claims, oh, sorry. HAARP claims. Yikes. It claims that it is just a research facility, and there's nothing to worry about, right? And what they do, of course, HAARP stands for a High Frequency Active Auroral Research Program. And it says they shoot frequencies up to a certain layer of the ionosphere. Now, a lot of people don't actually know this. They just kind of assume these things to exist. In its inception, it was to alter via frequency manipulation the ionosphere and the magnetosphere. Of course, any accurate depiction of something on the Earth would not have the word sphere in it. But anyway, in case you don't know, the way that they came up with the idea of the ionosphere is Marconi was shooting radio waves. And he's like, I'm going to send this radio transmission using line of sight, as in like a horizontal line. You look out to your horizon, you get a horizontal line of sight, and then you just continue that path horizontally. That's a line of sight. You don't have to actually see it for it to be line of sight. Anyway, he's like, okay, I'm going to use this horizontal propagation of radio transmission, and I'm going to send it to this receiving station 2,200 miles away. All of his detractors said, that's impossible. You're going to hit the curvature of the Earth at like just over 200 miles. You could never do that. He said, okay, well, I'm going to try it anyway. So he sends it 2,200 miles, and he gets it there on the first attempt, 2,200 miles away. Now, immediately, of course, an honest person would be like, it seems like there isn't a curvature of the Earth blocking my horizontal propagation of radio transmission. That is, of course, not how it ever goes down, just like with Michelson Morley. It's always the ad hoc explanation to defend the religious idea of heliocentrism and the sphere Earth. So anyway, long story short, they came up with the idea that actually the radio wave was going out horizontally, and then it reflected down off the ionosphere. And it would reflect up and down until it just happened to land at the place. He should have went to the casino directly or immediately after this, I guess. But that's where they came up with the idea of the ionosphere. Someone did not go up there and say, oh, look, there's an ionosphere here. In fact, Maxwell changed his equations. Now, we'll get more into this later when we cover electrostatics and stuff like that. But it changed his equations from the well-accepted acknowledgement of the fact that you must have some type of material to actually transfer electrostatic charge. Of course, the desperate need for this ionosphere to keep the globe Earth theory alive. He just changed that with no scientific backing or evidence for the possibility of this at all whatsoever. He created an equation to explain how this could be the case. Okay, so that, just so you know, that's where the ionosphere came from. So when they say the ionosphere, they claim that it's 50 miles to 400 miles. You mean like right around the firmament. If anyone's been looking into this, of course, I could give you documentation as late as 69 of the government referring to, or 68, referring to firmament. And approximation methods to determine the brightness being proven accurate, and many other things. So anyway, now it looks like there could be some type of layered permeability up there near whatever it is that is acting as containment on the Earth. And it seems to potentially have superfluid-like characteristics. And so there may be an area even below the ultimate container that isn't penetratable. As if you had to watch my last stream, I was explaining, I think they may be doing something up there, just not what they say. It's not what they say it is up there, and they're not doing what they say. But anyway, long story short, there is very possibly a lot of electromagnetic energy up near the container. Okay, so these people are sending concentrated beams. So they use ultra low frequency beams effectively, but they concentrate it into a coherent beam and they send it out. And then it exceeds like 1 billion watts when they concentrate it. Now you go watch YouTube and all this stuff, they'll tell you, oh, people act like it's so strong, but it's really so low. No, it's so low until they concentrate it into a beam, and then it's over 1 billion watts. And what they claim that they're doing is, this is what HAARP claims that they're doing, just so everyone knows the official story. They claim that HAARP is just a research program, right? It's just a research program. Duh, that's why it's called High Frequency Active Auroral Research Program. It's just an innocent research program. Actually, that's just patently false, because it was one of the primary people that utilized it was DARPA, which is notoriously one of the most malevolent, sinister groups. Yeah, sure, they research how to make weapons. That's what DARPA does. DARPA's not just doing innocent scientific research. They work for the military. They develop weapons. Okay. Now, in 2014, they said that they were going to dismantle it, and then a university in Alaska, Fairbanks, took it over. Okay. So what they'll tell you is, look, it's unclassified, or like as in not, it was never classified. It's not declassified. It's unclassified. It's just scientific research. No. The military, the Air Force, and DARPA was using this, the most sophisticated of its type of facility in the world. And then once they utilized it enough, I suppose they gave it over to the university. One would logically assume that you probably just learned how to perfect it and then moved it elsewhere where it was heavily classified and private. Maybe even privatized it with, basically outsourcing. So anyway, what they claim that they do is they shoot these concentrated beams up into the air, and it lifts the ionosphere, effectively creating a hole. Kind of like if you put your hand in a thing of water, then you move your hand, it'll fill back up. So it's no big deal. There's no threat here. Blah blah blah. Now I think again they're actually they're effectively allowing for an electromagnetic reverberation with the containment itself and any type of semi-permeable layers leading up to that. There's a lot of information for that, a lot of evidence for that, but we're gonna get further into it. So I wanted to give you guys a bit of a background so you understand. If you didn't know anything about HAARP, that's what it is. It's basically shooting ultra low frequencies or extremely low frequencies, ULF or ELF, up to the sky, concentrated in a beam exceeding 1 billion watts, and then they shoot that up into the sky for all kinds of different purposes. Okay. Now you know. Okay. So here we have Russia accused. Now watch what happens when you click on these. It's so funny. Russia accused America of creating the Haitian quake of 2008. Okay. Oh, totally random site. That's not what that is at all. Okay. Oh, HAARP, High Frequency Active Auroral Research Program, is a little known yet critically important U.S. military defense system. Oh, okay. This one actually does work. Okay, so this carefully documented article on weather warfare was first published, blah, 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 blah. Here is the Air Force final report. Weather modification will become a part, this is the Air Force. Okay. Weather modification will become a part of domestic and international security and could be done unilaterally. That was a quote that I put in the trailer. It could have offensive and defensive applications and even be used for deterrence purposes. The ability to generate precipitation, fog, and storms on Earth, or to modify space weather and the production of artificial weather are all part of an integrated set of technologies which can provide substantial increases in U.S. or degraded capability in an adversary to achieve global awareness, reach, and power. Now, you click on this. Oh, what a shocker. What a shocker. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. So I've had to go to the Wayback Machine for almost all of this. So I'm going to go ahead and pull it up for you so you guys can see this. But you should ask yourself, why is this so heavily censored if it's just such an innocent thing, right? Doesn't make a lot of sense. Now, the Wayback Machine is awesome. I don't even know how it's still on the internet. Okay. We're going to share this here. Here's the PDF, and I dropped this in the Telegram again if anyone's interested in learning more about this. I learned about HAARP in 2006. That Jesse Ventura episode was interesting. Even people, yeah, I heard it was kind of sensationalized. That is also removed from the internet. It's insane. It's insane how censored this conversation is. Okay, so anyway, here is an Air Force document. Weather as a force multiplier, owning the weather in 2025. I gotta say, I find this to be incredibly weird for an Air Force document to have this logo. Anyone want to explain that to me? What is that? You have the concentrated source of light over the Atlantic. Very interesting here. Again, I encourage people looking through this. Like I said, I'm trying to keep this a manageable stream. There's no way we can cover all the information, but I strongly suggest going and reading into it. And also don't listen to any of the detractors try to tell you're a conspiracy theorist. They don't know anything about it. They haven't read any of these documents, I would guess. Holes in Heaven, decent older HAARP documentary. Yeah, I actually watched that. It's pretty good. So much like low propaganda in it though. But it's cool. It does show, it shows a lot of the discrepancies in what they say. Okay, so here it says a high risk, high reward endeavor, weather modification offers a dilemma not unlike the splitting of the atom, which of course Nikola Tesla disintegrated atoms with millions and millions and even billions of volts, and nothing ever happened. But anyway, so this goes into detail about how they want to control the weather, right? Point blank, improve communication reliability, deny fresh water, induce droughts. Sound familiar, California? Huh. Flood lines of communication, decrease comfort level. I mean, this is just crazy to me. Okay, so this is the Air Force document. Like I said, you guys can look into it. I mean, it's pretty long. We're obviously not going to read all of it, but it's very telling, to say the least. They want to weaponize the weather. They sit here and say that. And then you want to go look up this document now, you can't find it. You got to use a Wayback Machine. Why would you have to take it off? Seems odd to me. So, move on here. So this is a quote from a TV documentary on the CBC, the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, also taken off the internet. It isn't just conspiracy theorists who are concerned about HAARP. The European Union called the project a global concern and passed a resolution calling for more information on its health and environmental risks. Despite those concerns, officials at HAARP insist the project is nothing more sinister than a radio science research facility. I don't think DARPA is very interested in radio stations, my guy. Like, what a joke. So what we'll do is we'll open this up in a separate window. Come back over here. All right. Yeah. So there were also accusations in Pravda, or yeah, I don't know how to pronounce that. Pravda. So here we go. We got Russia. An unconfirmed report by Russian Northern Fleet suggests that the devastating Haiti earthquake was caused by United States Navy earthquake weapons test, which was intended to be used against Iran. 220,000 people died in that, by the way. No big deal. Just a test. You know how that goes. Yo, I mean, this is crazy, bro. Because like I said, I was like, you know, just the convenient timing of that hurricane with that launch made me want to look into it. And dude, it's just such a rabbit hole. This goes back to like the 50s, the 40s even. This is nothing new. Okay, so you can read this. Like I said, I'll drop the quote. I'm going to move on. But it seems like the United States has their hands on earthquakes that are very infamous. Hugo Chavez also accused the U.S. of the Haitian earthquake. Now, this, of course, the United States apparently possesses an earthquake weapon that set off the catastrophic quake in Haiti and killed 200,000 innocent people. The story has since been taken down from the Venezuelan website, but a Google whatever of the charges remain intact. The publication of the story came just days after Chavez himself accused the U.S. of using the earthquake as an excuse to invade and militarily occupy Haiti, a nation so poor that its entire economy is based on foreign aid, particularly from the United States. China also accused the U.S. for its 2008 devastating 8.0 earthquake that killed 9,000 and talked of payback. Almost every one of these documents, you can't find them. Like, see this? It's every single one of them. It's insane, bro. Now, you can find them, though. They're real. So let me pull up my notes. I'll show you some of the ones that we have here. I want to get to the specific subject of the stream itself as it applies to hurricanes. Maybe that's where we should go first, because like I said, there's so much information. It's hard to keep up with all of it. All right. Now look at this right here. This is wild, bro. Now, the radars are picking up these crazy lines that go directly at the hurricane and redirect it. You see how it's guiding where the hurricane's going? Got more for you. See how this hurricane just randomly goes the other way? Well, look at these lines right here to the right. It's like an electromagnetic weapon. It's a beam. They shoot at the hurricane, and you see this? What are those? It's like a tuning fork, manipulating the frequency, and it goes the other way. They shoot it into the heart of the hurricane. All of a sudden, the radar picks up these huge pulses of electromagnetic energy, and then the hurricane goes the other way. You want to tell me what that is? Bro. I find that to be very crazy. Now, these are, this is Ophelia. And I forgot what this other one is. I haven't got to see, of course, Hurricane Ian just happened, so I haven't got to see all of it. Aliens? Who just said that? Aliens? Why would it have to be aliens when the U.S. government is sitting here admitting they've been doing it since the 40s? So it must be. Yikes. Hopefully this pulls up. Also, I have patents right here from starting in 1891, method of producing rainfall. And then we got from 91 just to 69. We have probably 50, 60 patents. So right here, method and apparatus for altering a region in the Earth's atmosphere, ionosphere, and/or magnetosphere. This is patent 4686605. Patent in 87. This was also in the trailer. A method and apparatus for altering at least one selected region which normally exists above the Earth's surface. The region is excited by electron cyclotron resonance heating to, of course, electrons are nothing more than the terminal end of a unit line of dielectric induction. It's just a gap in a dielectric field. There are no little charge-carrying particles of matter. But I digress. Thereby increase its charged particle density. In one embodiment, circularly polarized electromagnetic radiation is transmitted upward in a direction substantially parallel to and along a field line which extends through the region of plasma to be altered. Radiation is transmitted at a frequency which excites electron cyclotron resonance to heat and accelerate the charged particles. This increase in energy can cause ionization of neutral particles, which are then absorbed as a part of the region, thereby increasing the charged particle density of that region. Weird. Why? What's up with that? So here it's like all these different methods. A method for altering at least one region normally existing above the Earth's surface with electromagnetic radiation. And diverging magnetic field lines of the Earth, comprising transmitting first electromagnetic radiation at a frequency between 20 and 1700 or 7200 kilohertz. Method of claim 1, including the step of providing artificial particles and said it's at least one region which are excited by said electron and cyclotron resonance. You can also read this. And a lot of this is what I put into the trailer as well. So anyway, we don't have time to go through all of them. I mean, like to actually go through all of them. Okay, let's see what else we got here. Now I had to Wayback Machine this. What a shocker. While that's loading. Now this was actually put up by U.S. News, and it's taken down now, of course. A new debate over steering hurricanes. Like you just saw the tuning fork effect. There's like 5 or 6 hurricanes that have been looked at where there's these huge streams of electromagnetic like lines or like concentrated pulses, and then it steers the hurricane. Now that sounds crazy, right? We can't just look at the radar and see these inexplicable parallel lines going into the heart of the storm, and then as soon as they pop up on the radar, the hurricane changes direction. Well, I mean, that's not enough evidence, right? I mean, yeah, that could just be a coincidence that it's happened multiple times with parallel tuning fork-like lines that are vibrating and oscillating right in the heart of the storm, and then it changes direction. I mean, that's totally a coincidence. So let's see, like, no, they would never do this. Hurricane Katrina has sparked a renewed interest in weather and atmospheric modification, a discipline that has been around for more than 100 years, I guess. Trying to manipulate hell in North Dakota, blah, blah, blah. Inter-hurricane researcher Joseph Golden, a veteran of Project Storm Fury, which we'll get into, which is where the government literally tried to manipulate hurricanes. It's declassified. They tried to change like the magnitude of the hurricane. They tried to steer them. And actually in Project Storm Fury, they actually did redirect a hurricane, and it ended up hitting Savannah, Georgia. stronger than before they started messing with it. And they do this by dropping dried ice or silver iodide in certain sides of the hurricane. Then it guides it to go in another direction. Now we see they've clearly become more advanced, but we're now seeing huge. Did you see how big that pulse of electromagnetic energy would have to be in the Atlantic Ocean? And now those are popping up and steering hurricane. How much of a psycho do you have to be to think that you're in some type of a position to artificially steer hurricanes? Now, the real question is, are they making the hurricanes? So we're going to get into it. So here they are publicly discussing the idea. The federal government's last attempt into weather modification, which began in the 1960s, which is Project Storm Fury. The last one. Yeah. It was the last one. Thank you for the $5 super chat, Gregory. Crazy conspiracy theories. Yeah, it is. Let me tell you. Crazy conspiracy theorists. Anyway. Golden organized a meeting of scientists at the conference to discuss weather modification and was surprised to find the topic far less controversial than during the Storm Fury days. Yeah, because everyone's desensitized and brainwashed. Thank you again for the super chat, Gregory. I expected a far more contentious discussion, but there are still major issues that were never resolved. Like, what about the unintended consequences? Oh, they're intended though, my guy. Where, for instance, would scientists direct a storm? Where would you direct the storm? Good question. So the idea that it's impossible and the government would never even think about it, they're sitting here talking about how they want to do it. And this was captured in 19. I think this is from like 2012. And of course, again, it says in here, and this is, I'll pull it up in a second. It's easily verifiable. They were doing this as early as the 60s. Bruh. What about the impact on other nations, Mexico, for instance? Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to come back over here. Come back down. Now this talks about CERN, which is super sketchy. CERN is sketchy. And how earthquakes happen all the time and blah, 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 blah. But we're going to move past that. Okay, so this is talking about how, like, even you can look right here at Vanderbilt talking about how they think that they can open up a black hole or go into the past and the future with CERN and blah, which is weird. But anyway, onward. Weather manipulation. In 1975, the U.S. and Canada entered into an agreement under the auspices of the United Nations for the exchange of information on weather modification activity. Oh, it's just a conspiracy theory. Again, their cover story is that they just try to make it rain whenever the places need rain. That is not what happens. I hated gravy until you started ladling. Thank you for the super chat. Weasel Dream Studios. I'm ladle, my guy. Why do you talk like that? Okay, so the convention was signed in Geneva May 18th, 1977, entered into force October 5th, 1978, ratification by U.S. President December 13th, 1979. U.S. ratification deposited at New York January 17th, 1980. Yo. So why is our Congress okayed expanding our weather modification capability? I don't know. I thought they loved us. By the way, they're so incompetent and compartmentalized that, like, the powers that be have done a great job. They just get their technology out of it, right? That's all that they want to do. And then they have like one person call the shots. They have like 5 people follow the order, and then no one else knows what's going on. Anyway. Okay, so two bills were proposed in 2005 that would expand experimental weather modification, but neither were put into law. This is former Texas state senator, because they need rain, I guess is the cover story. Some mainstream media sites reported on it. Yeah. Now, this is interesting. So I saw someone comment whenever I had the trailer up. I'm so salty that we didn't get to keep that stream up. But anyway, that he talked to a guy or something that his job in Vietnam was to make it rain to demoralize the enemies. Veteran Veteran weather modification expert Ben Livingston is a former Navy physicist who briefed President Lyndon B. Johnson on the effectiveness of weather control back in the 60s during the Vietnam era, when he was involved in cloud seeding programs that worked to slow down the advance of Vietnamese and Korean troops. Livingston asserts that hurricane control was a national priority of the government more than 40 years ago, and that the technology was fully operational to control the weather at the time. Wow. That Gallagher? Thank you for the $10 super chat. Much love, brother. So this is a guy that worked for the Navy, a Navy physicist. He's come out, did an interview. He talks about how, his job was to basically make it rain in Vietnam all the time, to demoralize the troops, and also to prevent them from being able to move, to go along their paths to move different types of weapons and stuff like that. So it would be so wet and rainy and muddy that they couldn't travel. Anyway, he says that, a priority at the time back then, over 40 years ago, was, now this is actually over 60 years ago now, was to manipulate hurricanes. See, I think that they've mastered it so much so that all you have to do is get a little jump start and then just kind of guide it. Oh, we can't shoot our rocket to the moon. There's a hurricane coming. And they tactically strengthen them and let them hit for a certain reason, just like Obama's going to be voted back in. The votes don't matter, but if everyone in the country knew they didn't vote for someone, you're going to have a bit of a problem. I think they're actually, I can't even talk about it. Like, obviously, they amped that up to the new level now where they'll just blatantly make you think, oh, we'll steal it from you anyway. So we'll move on. There's a lot to cover here. So methods of artificial weather manipulation, AWM, help agriculture, devastate the enemy, and control the world economy. I'll drop this link. No, you'll have to use the Wayback Machine. I'll drop the Wayback links, actually. Okay. The more modern methods involve artificial ionization of Earth's atmosphere between 15 and 30,000 feet and above, manipulating the ionosphere, and use of controlled solar terrestrial interactions can create much larger effects. Now, of course, what it actually seems like they're doing is they're manipulating the area close to the container itself. They may be utilizing the container. And one of the huge things that's so crazy about it is what it does is it opens up this beam, right? So you send a concentrated beam of like 1 billion watts. It opens that up. It's a two-way beam. So if there's a ton of charge, it'll funnel down through that opening that you've created. It'll discharge. Because everything is constantly in the process of seeking equilibrium. So if there's a ton of energy excess in a certain area and you've created basically a tunnel from the ground up, right? Now, there's also the idea that this is going to actually reverberate and it's going to have a cascading triggering effect. Which makes me want to do this actually. Come back over here. I think this is it. There's just so much information. It's great. I have to find it. They talk about, I put this also in the trailer. They talk about artificially triggering lightning as early as the 60s, and then controlling hurricanes as well. I'll find it in a second. Actually, what maybe we'll do is I have a nice little video lined up. We'll play that, and I'll try and find this other document and get it all kind of situated. Blessings to you and your family, brother. Thank you for the kind words in the super chat, Jesse C. Much love, brother. I think Jesse could be a girl's name, I guess. Yeah, and consider becoming a member. See, we are far away from our goal. I don't like to set goals and not achieve them. I didn't achieve my donation goal. We got to achieve the member goal. All right. I'm going to play this video for you guys. And then we'll move on from there. I'll find this other one. Like I said, you can also go to the drop-down menu in WitsitGetsIt.live. Go to the Telegram channel if you have Telegram. If you don't, I strongly suggest you getting it. And you can learn everything there. So let's play this video.
Jean Manning is a journalist who stumbled into a strange world when she started asking questions about alternative energy sources and heard the story of an early 20th century inventor named Nikola Tesla.
Tesla is almost a cult hero and an overlooked genius, and he has so many inventions that are at the basis of technologies that we have today.
She went to a conference on Tesla and had a close encounter with a mysterious scientific researcher who became her deep throat, her Mr. X.
He sent me a file of materials about the Bernard Eastlund patent.
About a month ago, the U.S. Patent Office granted a patent to a Houston-based scientist, Dr. Bernard Eastlund, for an invention which Dr. Eastlund says could be used to change the weather. Dr. Eastlund says the invention could also be used to disrupt communications all over the world and might be used to destroy or deflect a missile attack.
The Eastlund patents had the ring of the mad scientist aspect of Tesla. Tesla talked about this Tesla shield around the planet and talked about particle beam weaponry, something called a death ray.
Death ray? Jean wasn't sure where all this was leading until Mr. X called again.
And he said, the maniacs are actually going to do it up in Alaska.
Mr. X's maniacs were in the U.S. Pentagon, and he was convinced they were conspiring to build Bernard Eastlund's Sky Zapper under the guise of a nice little research project deep in the Alaskan bush called HAARP.
The basic concept is to build a very large antenna, then to utilize a large amount of power and to beam those radio waves up into the upper atmosphere.
Have you approached the Pentagon with this invention?
Yes. And what I'm not at liberty to tell you is the details of what that interaction has been.
The word spread through the Alaskan bush, and soon a band of suspicious Alaskans set out to warn people about what they saw as the U.S. military's secret agenda.
And what you have with HAARP is sort of the universal hammer for geophysical warfare.
Nick Begich is the chief conspiracy theorist.
So when did you know that you were onto something?
I think as soon as I saw the references to Tesla's work, and when I read Bernard Eastlund's original patents, I realized that what we really had here in Alaska was a prototype for a ground-based Star Wars weapon system.
HAARP is a non-classified project run not by Bernard Eastlund, but by the U.S. Army and Navy. The official HAARP story is told by one man, John Heckscher.
It consists of several types of transmitting instruments, and
just so you know, the Star Wars is the idea of like high altitude weaponry, and the official story is that the government discontinued it because of moral contention and cascading triggering effects that type of weaponized technology would have. So they discontinued it, and seemingly what they've done is they've shrouded the continuation of the research and development of that type of weaponry via things like HAARP, and that's a ground. That's basically a ground weapon system that would fall under the Star Wars program, which again was allegedly discontinued. Now, this is the guy that's like the official frontsman, the spokesperson for the official story of HAARP. This video is old, but it's still very interesting. It's only it's like 10 minutes more, but I think it's important to watch it so you guys understand it, just so you understand the context of the Star Wars program. That's what it is. It's weaponized high altitude technology, manipulating like nature. And think about you couldn't have a greater source of energy than this, the naturally occurring energy that's everywhere. This fits right into, of course, you have to have two Gaussian surfaces. You can't have a magic ionosphere just sitting there, just magically without material holding all kinds of extreme amounts of electrical charge. We have two Gaussian surfaces that give us the equipotential increase, and they are reverberating off of the firmament. They are manipulating the frequencies close to the firmament, the electromagnetic energy accumulated by the firmament or within the firmament or the semi-firmament layers of the firmament, and they know damn well what they're doing. And what they're effectively trying to do is play the hand of the creator. That's what they're doing. But anyway, let's continue with the video.
Numerous scientific instruments that study the natural ionosphere and the ionosphere that has been perturbed by the instruments that we are building.
The ionosphere is a sea of electrically charged particles in the upper atmosphere, and the instrument is a powerful radio wave transmitter.
Does it have any military applications?
The site itself is strictly a scientific research site. Perhaps the outcome of some of the science, perhaps some of the results could be applied in to military systems.
Oh yeah, you don't say. You don't say it. That's what DARPA does, my guy. But I think he's not even necessarily lying. I think they just use it to develop the technology, and they classify the actual use.
Just a little physics project? Jim Roderick isn't buying it. He's been gunning for the real goods on HAARP, and his weapon is the internet.
The military is incapable of doing pure science. Science is conducted by them for application in weapon systems, for no other reasons.
From his shack in the middle of an Alaskan village, Jim and his co-conspirators around the globe have been tapping into databases. They've dredged up hundreds of long-buried scientific reports and even some internal documents from the military. They call it the world's first techno-protest, and they did it all on the military's own baby, the net.
Plans for HAARP activities correlate with projections of what can be done in the Eastland patents. It's that simple.
So it's not a coincidence?
It's not a coincidence.
Well, I hate to disagree with you, but it's not his patent that we're building. Superficially, yes, they send energy up into the ionosphere, but the Eastland patents require huge, prodigious, in fact.
Now pay attention to this, because in 2022, when you look this up, this will still be the cover story. Weasel dreams of conflicted melon head. Oh, thank you for the super chat. Was Weasel Dream Studio? Listen carefully to this part. This is still the cover story, is that it doesn't put out enough energy.
Amounts of power, like 100 billion watts.
Remember that number, 100 billion watts. You'll hear it again later.
HAARP requires only 3 million watts.
There is a paper trail leading us back to Eastland.
No, there is not. There is no paper trail that I'm aware of that's leading back to Eastland. Eastland used to be an employee of the company which is building HAARP, but that's pure coincidence.
Oh, there's no paper trail, except he used to be an employee. But that's just a coincidence. Look at the doublespeak. This guy is a glober.
You'll hear it again later.
HAARP requires only 3 million watts.
There is a paper trail leading us back to Eastland.
No, there is not. There is no paper trail that I'm aware of that's leading back to Eastland. Eastland used to be an employee of the company which is building HAARP, but that's pure coincidence.
Is it also a coincidence that the tiny company that owned Eastland's patents was later swallowed up by an enormous military intelligence firm called E-Systems?
2.1 billion in annual sales, 1.8 billion of that, with a B, was to military intelligence groups, CIA, NSA, and others. And of that, 800 million were black projects, so secret that even the United States Congress didn't know what they were.
E-Systems was then swallowed up by Raytheon Corporation. It too specializes in super secret contracts with the Pentagon.
Why would Raytheon be so excited about this? Well, it's a ground-based Star Wars weapon prototype. For them, it represents potentially billions and billions of dollars.
So how would you describe this world?
What's crazy is look how like based some journalists used to be, and like now it's just us. We are now those people, just to an even more like extreme pursuit of truth type of way. Like this is such an lost art now. So I just want to throw that out there because it just seems wild. Like it looks like we've lost our way as a society very quickly, like in a rapid succession, like in 20, 30 years. Where you don't even have journalists doing this anymore.
Of E-Systems.
They don't even care. If Elon said, yeah, we have crazy weapons in space now, people would cheer him on Twitter.
And Raytheon and HAARP.
dark.
There's a lot of people around here that have a really lot of strange ideas, and I think many of them are pretty bizarre.
Michelle Angbritson keeps the HAARP computers from freezing up in between visits from the military scientists.
Do you know, do you understand what they're doing here when the scientists come in?
You mean when the scientists come in and shoot the beams up? Yeah, they're shooting the beams up, and I think that heats a little small space in the ionosphere, and then you've got guys that are sitting on computers, and you got people putting up weather poles that measure weather and everything like that.
This is the kind of people that they have in the government, and then we have people saying there's no way they could pull it off. You just have a bunch of people like this in the government. Duh.
There's something spooky going on here.
There have been claims made by some scientists that that you could heat up the ionosphere and affect local weather.
If you were to do Eastland patents, I have no doubt that's the case.
Claims are being made that it could disrupt global communications.
Global?
That it could shut down another country's communication system and enhance your own.
Not HAARP. Not HAARP in
as it is
Alaska.
Now.
No.
But you couldn't disable any systems?
Those that use, if the systems used a path which was accessible to the HAARP beam, yes.
Starting to sound like Eastland's invention to you? Well, remember, John Heckscher says HAARP has nowhere near the power levels Eastland talked about.
It seems like this entire thing has been a matter of disinformation.
Eric Nashlin understands the military. He spent 15 years in the service as a radio engineer. He knows deception.
It came to our attention that there was a document, a technical memorandum, I think it was 195 or something like that. And reading right in the front of it, they said that, bottom line, although this is here, it does not constitute publication.
It doesn't exist.
It basically doesn't exist. So it was kind of like, wow, here's the document that doesn't exist. And we're talking several hundred pages of document that, you know, doesn't exist on a project that is completely unclassified and open to the public.
We got it through friendly folks in the right spots, but it really lays out, these are notes from a conference that really break down where they were going to use this technology and how this technology was going to be applied.
Remember the 100 billion watts debate? Well, for Nick Begich, this document was pay dirt.
And in the document that we uncovered, the actual desired level of these researchers is 100 billion watts, and there we're talking something closer to the order of what Bernard Eastland envisioned.
You must be familiar with Technical Memorandum 195, which talks about a desired level of 100 billion watts.
Which memorandum?
Technical Memorandum 195.
I'm not familiar with that number.
Well, it's about 600 pages. Which talks about a desired level of 100 billion watts.
Which memorandum?
Technical Memorandum 195.
I'm not familiar with that number.
Well, it's about 600 pages. And it's, I mean, you may not acknowledge it because it hasn't been published, but it exists. I've seen it.
I don't know what Technical Memorandum 195 is, because I haven't seen it.
This is a published document. It's non-released. And it's the word games that John Heckscher plays and the word games the United States military plays, and it's the word games they continue to play, and those are the things that need to end.
Zap incoming missiles, disrupt global communications, and engineer the weather. And ready? There's one more. Some people believe the technology being tested here could be used for sinister projects involving humans. Radio waves messing around with people's brain waves. And guess what? The military denies this one, too.
The human mind is subject to being affected by radio frequency energy, and that's what this device is.
In other words, you can move the moods of large populations using this kind of technology.
So now we have not just maniacs in the Pentagon, but a bunch of Dr. Strangeloves? Pretty weird stuff. But scientists have been experimenting with radio frequencies on animals' brains for decades. And the military has followed it all very closely, especially once it found out the Russians were onto it.
It was all kept a deep, dark secret by the two superpowers.
Back in the 60s, the Soviets began zapping the American embassy in Moscow with a low-frequency beam. No one knows for sure what they were up to, but one theory is that they were trying to mess with people's central nervous systems. And one report did say the diplomats got depressed a lot. And hey, just think of all the nifty applications against the enemy. Why blow people up when you can drive them crazy?
From documents dating back into the early 80s, we see that the military had discussed the possibilities of mind control through radio frequency energy. The possibility is there. The military has studied it.
A 1982 Air Force report called radio frequency energy a major new research initiative and said that RF can, quote, disrupt normal purposeful behavior. A 1987 military report called for more research on RF energy as a non-lethal weapon, while pointing out that most of the existing technology is classified. And sure enough, in 1993, there was a big conference at Johns Hopkins University. Here, the entire conference was classified. But the agenda wasn't, and weapons using extremely low radio frequencies, or ELFs, were listed as a very attractive option.
Is it just a coincidence that there's been all of this talk and that HAARP will be experimenting with this? Is that all just coincidence?
I believe the ability of ELF to affect the mind is a side issue for us. It may be real. I can't say.
It's been exceedingly difficult to find information on what is supposed to be a major new initiative of the military. All we see is HAARP.
Well, then I'm being kept in the dark, if that's the case.
The question is, could they, would they? And we believe they can, and we believe they will. Somewhere, at some point, all of this technology merges at some level within the Pentagon, and it happens to be in Alaska, and it happens to be now.
It isn't just conspiracy theorists who are concerned about HAARP. In January of 1999, the European Union called the project of global concern and passed a resolution calling for more information on its health and environmental risks.
Interesting. All right, so I found the other document, but yeah, just is very interesting because it goes as far back as like I can't remember the year. I remember the year, but from Yale University, Jose Delgado did physical mind control study using low frequency, and you can alter people's mood, and you can increase the likelihood of passivity, meaning being passive. So just emitting like this large amount of low frequency, you could literally increase the chances of someone being passive and compliant and complacent. And so it's not some crazy, unfounded conspiracy. Crazy, like Kai and I played that game, remember? And one of them was like, crazy conspiracy theorists think that HAARP, which one of these technologies can control your mind? And it's HAARP. No, it's not a crazy conspiracy theory. The frequencies that it uses has scientifically been proven to mess with people's mind. They did it on animals as early as like the 50s. They've done it for decades. The government knows about this. It's been researched in depth, even on human subjects, and you can manipulate. I'm not saying they can literally take over your brain, although it is interesting that your brain's a magnetic field, has a magnetic field, your heart has a magnetic field, each one of your cells has like magnetite and acts as a magnetic field, and then now people are being injected with all kinds of crazy stuff. Could they directly manipulate your brain that way by bypassing the blood-brain barrier? That's a whole nother discussion. But I think that they can, depending on how strong your natural resonance or frequency is, then they can mess with you proportionate to that. And everyone has, it's a varying spectrum of sensitivity to electromagnetic waves. But anyway, my point is, you got to admit that's crazy. And, it doesn't matter what anyone's got to say. You want to say it's like a whole bunch of nonsense. Well, it's like, okay, well, you've really provided some very profound input to the conversation just by handwave dismissing it, because you can go back and read Tesla. It's not even electromagnetic waves as a conspiracy theory. Some people think so, apparently. Some people think electromagnetic waves don't exist, but can you do with someone like that, All right, so I'm going to show you the PDF now. I found it. Okay. Again, I'll drop, this is already in the Telegram group. Just go to WitsitGetsIt.live, go to the drop-down menu, go to the stream resources. Telegram channel that'll have every stream we do's resources from here on out. I can't drop PDFs and stuff in the YouTube description, obviously. Anyone that just for everyone that donates to PayPal, you can go to that's also on the drop down menu, paypal.me/inaworld. You can go to $WitsitGetsIt on Cash App. I read off all the donations at the end of the stream. Don't think I'm leaving you out here. So this is from 68 to 70 and 71 to 72. This is the research that was funded by the government. Okay. You guys can see that. Precipitation modification. Now, this is the one that they kind of publicly admit now in 2022. They don't even hide this. Okay. Fog and cloud modification. Okay. I guess these people think that they're the creator. Hell suppression. Yeah, suppression. Okay, yeah. And of course, if there's a natural cycle of things, you shouldn't be messing with it, dude. Lightning modification. Wow. Okay. Hurricane modification. This is as early as 68. As early as 68, we're right here. Hurricane modification. I mean, get out of here. All right, so we're going to come down here. Fog modification, hail suppression, lightning modification. The Department of Agriculture is the major federal supporter of lightning modification research. Let me come down here. Other federal agencies have provided limited support for lightning modification research, and 66 defense supported aerial seeding of lightning storms with metallic nylon chaff over Flagstaff, Arizona. These experiments indicated the possibility that electrical fields in storms could be discharged by chaff seeding before they reach the strength necessary to generate lightning. You want some scientific evidence about how everything's electric and that sets the up and down? Why don't you go look at the naturally occurring phenomena we have of clouds and storms and lightning, and how they're literally manipulating that independent variable. But anyway, Commerce has supported research directed toward developing lightning detection techniques and toward exploring techniques for artificially triggering lightning. NSF has supported laboratory research to examine the relationship between cloud electricity and precipitation, and to explore the possibility of inducing rainfall by injecting electrical charges into clouds. Oh, so you can make things fall down with electrical charges? That's crazy. It has nothing to do with up and down, though. So the clouds are floating because of electricity. They're held together because of electricity. Things then fall because of electricity. But it's nothing to do with the up and down, though. No scientific evidence. Is there going to be calling in tonight? No. There is not. I might switch over to Streamlabs. They have a new call collabs feature, so we may be able to have call-ins on OBS here soon. Okay, so we're going to come down here. Hurricane modification. The earliest cloud seeding experiment to modify a hurricane was conducted in 1947. You think that it's 2022 and they don't do anything regarding hurricanes, bro? That's what you think? It says 1947. See if we can get it a little bigger. 1947. Under Project Cirrus, which was sponsored by Defense. The results of the experiment could not be assessed because at the time the dynamics of hurricanes were not sufficiently understood. Oh, they are now, aren't they? And actually, guess who spearheaded the research into fully understanding the development and intensification of hurricanes? NASA. We'll get into that in a second. So we come down here. Under Project Storm Fury, 4 hurricanes all on the Atlantic coast were seeded with silver iodide. 61 Hurricane Esther was seeded. In 63, 69, 71 hurricanes Beulah, Debbie, and Ginger, respectively, were seeded. Now it says, according to Commerce, decreases in the wind velocity of sea hurricanes were noted in these experiments, but the level of the decreases were within the range of natural variability of hurricane winds. Therefore, additional research was necessary before definitive determination could be made as to the degree to which hurricanes could be modified by speeding. But we'll also look at this in a second. The actual truth is that one of them, they messed up. It got stronger. How convenient that it leaves out of here. Oh, we just couldn't figure it out. No. You made one stronger, you changed its route, and then it slammed into Savannah, Georgia. That's what happened. And again, we just looked at the radar from the 21st century hurricanes with 2 direct parallel lines of electromagnetic energy going into the heart of the hurricane. And as soon as you see them pop on the radar, the hurricane changes trajectory. You think they're not guiding these hurricanes to perfectly go over where the width span of it would be like, oh, we can't shoot the rocket. Oh, these people are, Texas is getting a little per capita. They're really not, they're kind of bucking the system. They're way too into the Constitution or whatever. Oh, hit them with Harvey. You think that nothing like this is going on? This is where cognitive dissonance like just slaps people in the face and they don't know what to do. This is where Stockholm Syndrome kicks in. No, the government's just controlling the weather to help keep me safe. They're trying to make sure the hurricanes don't hurt me. Yeah, dude. That's what's going on here. All right, anyway, let's move back over to Chrome. Again, in all these PDFs here, we got unclassified, so it was never classified. Generation hydrodynamics, explosion wave. This is about them actually explosion generated waves. This is about them creating tsunamis. These are old documents, bro. This is literally about them creating tsunamis. Called the tsunami bomb. So this is also in Telegram. This is the HAARP patent that I showed you earlier. And I encourage reading through this. I haven't finished reading it. It's just insane. A lot of what's in the trailer is out of this patent. And it's insane. Method of claim 8, wherein the set excitation of electron-cyclotron resonance is initially carried out within the ionosphere and is continued for a time sufficient to allow said region to rise above said ionosphere. There seems to be semi-permeable layers leading up to the ultimate greater dome or container. Firmament. All right, anyway. This is the first one we popped up. Top secret hearing held on March 20, 1974, made public in 74. Weather modification. This is a rain-making program which employed airdrop silver and lead iodide seeding units to increase normal monsoon rainfall. Increased rainfall sufficiently in carefully selected areas to deny the enemy. Now, by the way, in case you guys didn't know, you can go read the Patriot Act and you can go read domestic terrorism lists. You're now the enemy, in case you didn't know. Do you believe in the Constitution? Do you believe in the right to bear arms? Do you believe in the ability to freely speak and think for yourself? Do you not like censorship? Do you think the government should be held accountable? You're a terrorist. Okay, so let's get real here. Anyway, to deny the enemy the use of roads by softening road surfaces, causing landslides along roadways, washing out river crossings, maintain saturated soil conditions beyond the normal time span. Okay. Again, I encourage you to look through these PDFs or just show them to people that just have trouble understanding the reality of this. All right, we looked into that. Project Skywater, this is in 67. Allocated funding for creation of weather modification program. Of course, most of this, what's going on now is obviously classified for obvious reasons. And if you saw the trailer, you also saw that we were talking about forest fires as they randomly pop up in California, and then they burn all kinds of stuff. This is directed energy weapons. And again, I showed you guys the bill proposed in the 90s that literally talks about how they know they have that weapon. Those weapons, directed energy weapons. And this all came from when they confiscated Tesla. But anyway, let's move on. In the process of artificially manipulating ion density in the ionosphere, high-power transmitter and antenna array operating in high-frequency range is one of the methods. In other words, HAARP. HAARP has a huge range of frequencies. And again, there's actually, there's like over a dozen of these facilities across the world, some of them in Europe, one in Norway. And It's not even the strongest one. A bunch of them will claim that it's the strongest, most sophisticated one, and it's just a research program. It's not, and a bunch of them are clearly classified. And once DARPA and the Air Force get done with it and say, okay, never mind, we're going to dismantle it or the university can take over it, then that means that they have them built somewhere else that's classified. DARPA does not just get bored and go do science research. It's literally, it creates technology, bro. They have weaponized the weather. It's just objective. And guys, I'm not trying to scare you. This is something that's so out of your control. There's no reason for you to be scared. You always need to just trust the creator. But, you know, turning your head from knowledge is obviously never the answer. Okay. Techniques of weather modification could be employed to produce prolonged periods of drought or storm. Sound familiar, bro? Yeah. Duh. Actually, what I want to do. Just a sec. I want to show you this video too. You guys have probably seen it. This is NASA being a bunch of psychopaths. Let me find it. This is crazy because I'm going to show you guys a few videos that are really wild. What are you doing, bro? What kind of psychopath thinks this is a good idea? Look at that, bro. They admit they do this. Sorry, no, it's not. Imagine the capabilities of pumping the sky full of this and then manipulating frequencies that cause it to dissipate a certain way. Guiding them. I think it's just crazy. I think it's crazy, man. Anyway. So I showed you guys the documents, declassified files, reveal a tidal wave bomb. Dude, it's hard to fathom this stuff, dude. And then you combine this, so these countries say that America does this to them. It says that they did the Japanese tsunami, that they did the earthquakes, that they did the Haiti earthquake, that they did the earthquake in China, that all these different countries come out and say the United States is doing this or this. They're using earthquake threats over us as leverage. That's why we had to concede over certain parts of our government and etc. And then the government denies all accusations, of course. And then we look into it, and our government is 100% looking into this for decades. This is so egregious to me, bro. Like, this is one of the biggest truth bombs. Because it's like, how could it get much more egregious than messing with nature itself? And it creates this plausible deniability. Like, oh, that wasn't us. That was the hurricane. What can we do about hurricanes? Okay. Weather modification offers the warfighter a wide range of possible options to defeat or coerce an adversary in the United States. Weather modification will likely become part of a national security policy with both domestic and international applications. Our government will pursue such a policy depending on its interest at various levels. Air University of the U.S. Air Force. It's in that document that is once again in the Telegram group for the channel. You guys think this is going to be gone? Oh, what a shocker. It's all gone. They take everything down about this. Isn't that weird? But no, there's nothing to worry about. They're not hiding anything. Like I saw a dude, astrophysics professor that was in the chat. He is an astrophysics professor, by the way. Talking about they couldn't do an earthquake. I'm like, okay, well, I guess you disagree with what the government says, because they say they literally can trigger earthquakes. From a military standpoint, HAARP is a weapon of mass destruction. And that's the only way, like the guy said, the government doesn't just look into science for no reason. They look into it for technological weaponized purposes. That's what the government does. That's what the military does, obviously. That's their whole use case, bro. Officially, there really is such an area of research devoted to a man-made earthquake. Geologists and seismologists agree that humans can induce earthquakes in 5 major ways: fluid injection into the earth, fluid extraction from the earth, mining or quarrying, nuclear testing, and through the construction of dams and reservoirs. In fact, there are officially recorded instances of earthquakes caused by human activity. Geologists discovered that disposal of waste fluids by means of injecting them deep into the earth could trigger earthquakes after a series of earthquakes in the Denver area occurred from 62 to 65. Periods and amounts of injected waste coincided with the frequency and magnitude of earthquakes in the Denver area. The earthquakes were triggered because the liquid, which was injected under the very high pressure, released stored strain energy in the rocks. Man-made earthquakes may seem like something out of the X-Files, and it's probably only a matter of time before the idea is picked up by Hollywood. This year, best-selling thriller, blah, 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 blah. When asked by Salon magazine, how real is the idea of a man-made earthquake, Foley replied that some of the seismologists told me there's no way this could happen. But others gave sad little shrugs and said, it's hard to say, who knows, maybe, it's within the realm of possibilities. Oh, it's not even complicated. You guys, just in case, let's go over here. The way that this works is, Earth's effectively a giant battery. Like, really crude description, you have an anode and a cathode. Yeah, cathode. You have negative, you have positive. You have 2 Gaussian surfaces. That means like conductive surfaces, solid surfaces that are able to create this equipotential gradient, okay? And we have this system that is constantly cycling and circulating energy, and it's always an attempt to maintain homeostasis, a state of equilibrium. And it discharges. That's what happens. When something has too much energy, it discharges. That's what happens. Okay, it's simple. When you get too much charge, you discharge the excess charge to establish that state of equilibrium. The Earth is always doing this. That's why it seems we have periodic electrical discharges that we call meteor showers. Okay, everything is constantly doing this. This also happens within the Earth itself. And so if we have some type of earthquake, the Earth is seeking equilibrium, and it's got excess electricity, right? And it discharges. Yes, the mainstream, they say that earthquakes aren't fully understood. Well, I don't think they're very complicated. I think that we live in an inertial plane. We live on the dielectric plane or the dielectric surface within that inertial plane, and then there's constant equilibrium being sought, and then the Earth discharges. So anyway, if you manipulate these frequencies, then you could easily trigger an earthquake. And it's not just the ways that this article just said. Again, if you understand what they're doing, they're concentrating a beam of frequency into the sky. Now, there seems to be a container up there, and it would reverberate back, or with or without that. As you basically look at it like you're drilling a little hole. You're sticking a straw in a smoothie, okay? The energy can go both ways. And if it is to have such an excess of energy, or you disturb the system in such a way, it'll shoot back down in that hole the straw created, and you're going to get earthquakes. Just like there are all kinds of reports of earthquakes around the Hadron Collider. Now they're obviously not shooting any little physical particles of matter at each other, obviously. And 5 on PayPal, bro. Love what you're doing. What you're doing later. Thank you for the super chat and the PayPal. I'll read all the PayPals off in a second, but thank you, Ron Diggity Prepper, for the super chat, bro. All right, so hopefully that makes sense to you guys. Just understand it. Like, to me, this is like the most appalling, disgusting thing. I mean, is it really worse than lying to children about the very nature of where they live, in which it actually motivates and basically incentivizes atheism, nihilism, materialism? Maybe not. But I mean, I don't know how you could get much worse than like playing with people's lives on... Dude, it looks like they triggered the Haiti earthquake that killed 200,000 people, bro. Oh, we're going to have to shoot our rocket to the moon. Let's keep putting it off. Keep putting it off. Oh, hurricane. Can't do it. Now imagine if they did something like start up a hurricane and guide it over towards Florida and then up towards South Carolina, so that they can say, oh, we don't have to shoot our rocket. so they can cover up a lie about shooting a rocket to the moon. It would put people's lives. They would just alter. I don't know. I think it's got to be one of the most ridiculous things. Like the fact that people don't all know about this. If you're a truther, you should know about this. So many people like deny this. It's wild. The government doesn't. All right, I'll stop ranting. Going back. In the 70s, an experiment involving a water flood at the Rangeley oil field was the cause of more than 1,200 micro-earthquakes on a fault. So just like the way that we get oil. Caused by fracking. Okay. Moving on. Again, I'll drop this link if you guys want to look into it. You'll have to use the Wayback Machine. In 1997, the U.S. Secretary of Defense, William Cohen, delivered a speech on terrorism at the University of Georgia, once again. He said, precautions against unconventional arms must be intensified as potential terrorists develop chemical and biological weapons and electromagnetic methods that could create holes in the ozone layer or trigger earthquakes or volcanoes. Wow. You can see, obviously, this is utilized. This would be great for them to put you in a state of fear, and I'm not asking you to do that. But if you're like easily afraid and live in like perpetual fear, this channel isn't really for you. Frankly. Okay, so Science and Technology Minister Hideo Murai revealed that the group was interested in advanced weapons, including laser-powered seismic weapons. On April 7, 1995, he responded in a press conference to a question about a rumored earthquake machine. He remarked that there was a strong possibility that the Kobe earthquake was activated using electromagnetic power, or that somebody used a device that applied force inside the earth. That's all you gotta do. Throw it off equilibrium. It's gonna vibrate, discharging all the excess energy so that it can go back to a state of equilibrium. Shortly after this press conference, a lone assassin stabbed him to death in a full view of the Japanese media. Dude said, oh yeah, it looks like someone used electromagnetic energy to do this. You could definitely do that. And then they assassinated him on camera. What a joke, bro. We don't see any reason that there should be any upper limit for an earthquake that is induced, says Bill Ellsworth, a geophysicist with the U.S. Geological Survey who wasn't involved in the new study. Interesting. Now, obviously, he disagrees with this blue-pilled normie astrophysicist professor who says there's no way you can create an earthquake. When we're sitting here looking at the U.S. Geological Survey geophysicist that says you literally can, and there's actually no upper limit on what could be created. Hopefully my sound sounds good. Occasionally it jumps into the red. Okay, so moving on. New study says that though earthquakes with a magnitude of 5.0 or greater are rare east of the Rockies, scientists have observed an 11-fold increase between 2008 and 2011 compared with 76 through 2007. But the increase hasn't been tied to human activity. We do not really know what is causing this increase, but it is remarkable. It's reasonable that at least some may be natural. Yeah, it's called classified military programs. You think it's a coincidence that after we discover and master this technology that all this stuff has erratic, unpredicted irregularities? Of course not. And the convenient timing of some of this is just crazy. Audio's golden. Okay, perfect. There's certainly an incomplete history because weather modification, weather warfare, and geoengineering are all shrouded by disinformation and secrecy. Yeah, you don't say. Everything mentioned here is true to the extent that we can trust reputable government and scientific sources to tell us the truth, which we cannot, of course, but if anything, they're obviously helping them out, right? They're obviously lying to their benefit. The History Channel did a piece back in the day, but it's also taken down off of YouTube. This is 2 quotes from inside the History Channel documentary. Electromagnetic weapons pack an invisible wallop hundreds of times more powerful than the electrical current in a lightning bolt. One can blast enemy missiles out of the sky, another could be used to blind soldiers on the battlefield, still another to control an unruly crowd by burning the surface of their skin. We all know about this declassified technology. If detonated over a large city, an electromagnetic weapon could destroy all electronics in seconds. We know about that. They all use directed energy to create a powerful electromagnetic pulse. This is why HAARP isn't some conspiracy theory. This is what they objectively do, admittedly. You can go there and visit. You can call them. The point is that DARPA and the Air Force were obsessed with this technology. They mastered it. They were like, okay, now we're going to move into our shadows of classification. Directed energy is such a powerful technology, it could be used to heat the ionosphere. Again, just a theory to save the globe. Just because there's energy up there doesn't mean there's some magical layer void of matter transferring electrostatic charge. Psychopathic. To turn weather into a weapon of war. Imagine using a flood to destroy a city or tornadoes to decimate an approaching army in the desert. The military has spent a huge amount of time on weather modification as a concept for battle environments. If an electromagnetic pulse went off over a city, basically all the electric things in your home would wink and go out, and they would be permanently destroyed. EMF, of course, we know about that. Which is, this goes back to why any flat earther would ever push against the idea of us pursuing electromagnetic energy and the truth therein, electricity, the ether. I mean, it just blows my mind. The number one power hold they have on us is our electricity dependence. Okay, 1990 government document indicates that the radio frequency power zap will drive the ionosphere to unnatural activities. Bet you it doesn't exist anymore. Oh, it does exist. Is it though? Ooh, this looks like some great.
My pleasure to.
That's 2 hours long. This has been changed, so I don't know. Anyway, at the highest high-frequency powers available in the West, the instabilities commonly studied are approaching their maximum radio frequency energy dissipative. Is that how you say that? Dissipative capability, beyond which the plasma process will run away into the next limiting factor. Okay, gone. By 57. I wanted to cover this because if you guys can realize and grasp how old and how long ago they were doing this kind of stuff, you know what they're doing now, bro. You got to be able to put together what they're doing now. If it takes us 50 years to figure this stuff out, what do you think they're doing now? Blows my mind. Some people don't get it. By 57, 58, the Soviets had progressed to the point of a giant scalar electromagnetic accident in the Urals, which exploded nearby atomic waste, devastating the area. It also progressed the development of great new super weapons using their new energetics, weapons to which Hershevich referred in 1960 when he informed the Soviet president of a new fantastic weapon in development, a weapon so powerful that it could wipe out all life on Earth if unrestrainedly employed. And what's crazy is Tesla said he could split the Earth in half. It's crazy. Also, it looks like Russia's like one of the only people that managed to buy any of Tesla's technology. Okay, we're gonna come down. The U.S. and Soviet Union joint projects. You gotta obviously always take the good with the bad, as a lot of this is shouted down with global presupposition. It's not working. You see this, dude? Look at the freaking pulses, the waves being shot in, and watch the hurricane change. Bro, how is that not weird? I was trying to find like good radar like this of Ian, but you're gonna have to wait some time for people to break it down. Clearly changes path. I just think that's crazy, bro. That's a university. That's the University of Wisconsin. Warped integrated microwave imagery. It's just wild to me. Let's see. Based on the physics of these images, that these bizarre tuning fork, this guy worked at NASA Jet Propulsion Laboratory for many years. So you know you can trust him. It says, based on the physics of these images, that these bizarre tuning fork patterns note geometrically aimed at the precise centers of these respective storms are actually a rainfall side effect of unseen energy technology being applied to these respective storms in an effort to decrease both their wind velocities and to simultaneously alter the storm's tracks themselves. I don't place benevolence on the government, bro. I don't assume that they always try to make the hurricanes less drastic. Let's be real. And if you steer it, first of all, the creator's in control. If there's a hurricane and you steer it, even in theory that they were acting on our behalf, which they don't do that. You steer the hurricane away from the US, you're steering it somewhere else, bro. So in the early hours of this morning, October 9, 2005, less than 18 hours after going from a tropical storm to a full-fledged Category 1, Wilma reached a hurricane strength of Category 5, the maximum extension of the Saffir-Simpson scale. Her central pressure was measured at 882 millibars, the lowest recorded in a hurricane since 35. Her internal winds, relayed by U.S. Air Force Hurricane Hunter aircraft in the eye wall just hours ago, were in excess of 175 miles per hour. This hundreds of times increase in intensity, the energy of a hurricane goes up as the square of its peak wind velocity. For a storm that was barely in existence less than a day before, remarkably began precisely coinciding with the cessation of the anomalous red tuning fork geometry recorded earlier. And these are crazy, man. So again, I have given you guys the 96 Air Force document. I had to go in the Wayback Machine to get it. It's in the Telegram chat. Explains in the 50-year-old file report outlines in great detail the existence of expanding U.S. weather modification programs as far back as 56, a full decade earlier than the date of the document in question. All right, I have so much more to show you guys that I can't. And then here is Holes in Heaven. Someone else mentioned it. It's a decent little hour-long documentary if you want to kind of get caught up on what was known a long time ago about HAARP. And again, so everyone understands what I think. I think HAARP is just like, it's just the surface, bro. It's like DARPA used it for a while, but they just left it kind of in the open. It was just researching, and they mastered and perfected technology. And that's what DARPA does. DARPA works for military technological purposes. And they've now integrated new bases that are classified you do not know about, and that's where that's the actual center for this. We can still talk about HAARP, right? Because it's something that you can show people, like, the government openly, acted in such a way they can manipulate weather. But and also they're utilizing immense amount of frequencies that can literally alter someone's mind. This isn't just some crazy conspiracy theory. It's been demonstrated scientifically for decades that those frequencies can mess with your mind. We know that there is a proportionate relationship to the state of mind and the amount of frequencies and the cycles that your brain go through. The amount of cycles per minute and the frequency, wavelength. Waves aren't things, it's just a convention. Movement. The oscillation of the electricity in your brain it changes relative to what state of mind you're in, whether that be exercise, whether you're frantically freaking out, you're happy, you're sad, you're sleeping, you're meditating. And these very low frequencies can alter your state of mind. Not to be scared. And honestly, what you need to do is exercise, eat healthy, drink clean water, be in a good relationship with the Creator. You're going to have a protective aura, like a literally protective aura. But anyway, let's move on. How double dog dare you? I want to show you guys this other video that's pretty interesting. No, that's not it. Here we go.
Take a look.
Now, this is 10 years old. Again, always take what he says. This is 3 minutes long. Let's check it out. Take what he says with a grain of salt, of course. Think for yourself. Just look at the patterns. Look at the anomalous patterns.
Look at Tropical Storm Isaac on Friday night. Here's a telecast showing the basic U.S. profile. And now we see tropical storm moving in from right to left into the Caribbean basin. We can see the storm moving basically west-northwest, and at the very end we see an explosion of clouds over the top of the tropical storm, followed by a sudden shift of the entire mass
What's up with this
of the
freaking
storm
music?
toward the north. So suddenly the storm that was forecast to pass over the high mountains of Cuba and experience weakening is suddenly thrust north on a different track to pass into the Florida Straits and gain strength.
Isn't that weird? Now, of course, hurricanes do their own thing, man. But it's like, I mean, I don't know. You just got to pay attention, man. You got to pay attention and think about it. Like, they've been doing this since the 50s, man. Actually, the 40s.
Selected this single image out of all of the images that did not show this spiral spoke effect here, which I interpret as aerosol deployment over the storm, and that this huge aerosols over the storm in conjunction with the aerosols that had been deployed in advance of the arrival of the storm, we can see here on MODIS satellite, contributed to the everywhere in every frame. You can
Sorry, the music's just getting on my nerves.
Again, watch all of the chem bombs over Central America, Colombia.
Look at that, bro.
And elsewhere.
Look at that. Look at the bottom left of the screen. What is that? You gotta admit that's crazy, man. What would make this guy think that that background music was a good idea? So the news forecast predicts the storm will miss most of Cuba, but increased rain and wind impact on Haiti. So I do plan on breaking down Hurricane Ian once we can get like actual good in-depth readings of the radar. But anyway, all right, we're gonna move over here, and now I'm gonna start opening up. Now, we have all kinds of patents here. I'm gonna drop all these in the Telegram right now. All kinds of weather modification patents, bro. It's not just they want to make it rain sometimes to help you out. Anyone that says chemtrails is a conspiracy theory is a moron. Okay? Objectively, admittedly, chemtrails exist. They use silver iodide. They use all kinds of things. And by the way, chaff, that's also pieces of aluminum that they put in the sky that's also declassified. Oh, that's not a chemtrail, that's chaff. Oh, you mean they're putting metal in the sky to manipulate the weather? Call it what you want to call it. Okay? We call them chemtrails. Just like the senator did in his bill. Okay? There are contrails. Exhaust from planes that dissipate quickly. There are chemtrails. We've all seen them. They stay in the sky forever. They stay in the sky forever. Okay? Aluminum, barium, strontium. Yeah, exactly. They put heavy metals in the sky. How is that not weird? You think that this Earth is so big, strong, and powerful, and you're going to come manipulate? You think there's going to be no no effects of that? Like actual psychopaths. So I'm going to go over to the Telegram real fast. I'll let you guys look at this while I do. This is another one of the hurricanes being guided. You see this right here. And you can see this right here. I just think that is insane. I want to go put this in the Telegram for you guys. It says this is a list of all kinds of weather patents, weather modification patents. Of course, you know what they like to say. Oh, well, people can make patents for anything. Yeah, people also make patents for things that they built. No, it's crazy, huh? All right, now let's see who else has been looking into this idea of intensification and manufacturing of hurricanes and exactly how they work. Good old trusty people over at NASA. That's how you know nothing sketchy's going on. smash the like button, please. And if you would like to become a member, it's right there down below the video. You should be able to click the join button. And we're trying to reach our goal by the end of in 29 days, and we are 15% there. Just become a member. You know, what's it gonna hurt? They've also found type O blood cells in the chemtrails. This is likely what is causing Morgellons disease. I've heard about that. I think it's probably pretty difficult to actually dissect exactly what's in them, though, right? I mean, I guess from what I found, they found it like on what's fallen out of the sky onto the ground. Okay, so the Genesis and Rapid Intensification process called GRIP experiment was a NASA Earth Science field experiment in 2010 that was conducted to better understand how tropical storms form and develop into major hurricanes. NASA used these different aircrafts, the International Hawk unmanned airborne system configured with a suite and remote sensing instruments. So here they are, like literally flying planes, even unmanned planes, around the heart of the storm to figure out exactly how they begin to basically manifest and intensify. August 15th to August 30th, with bases in Fort Lauderdale, Houston, Texas, and at NASA Drive and Flight Research Facility in California. So there you go. I mean, this is them looking into like the specifics of the intensification process of a developing hurricane. Move on. Okay. So this article just straight up makes claims, like definitive claims. That's how it's worded, of course. But Arlette, thank you for the $10 tip on Rockfin. Greatly appreciate it. Thank you very much, Carpathian9, for the tip on Rockfin. It's greatly appreciated. Okay. You guys should be able to see that pretty well. U.S. government's using the HAARP sea-based X-band radar SBX platform to intensify and steer the man-made Hurricane Sandy. This article is about Hurricane Sandy. Move on down here. 2010, NASA successfully intensified Tropical Depression Earl into a Category 4 hurricane and controlled its path. Hurricane Earl for 11 days in Project GRIP. Just covered that. On August 11, 2010, NASA announced that it was less than 2 weeks away from initiating Project GRIP, their quest for the holy grail of hurricane research. Project GRIP discovered the exact conditions required to kickstart a tropical depression into a hurricane. Scientists already knew how hurricanes develop and how to steer them, but NASA wanted to perfect the process that intensifies depressions to form into very intense spinning storms of mass destruction. NASA was creating a weather modification weapon of mass destruction. No, NASA loves us. Hurricane formation intensification is really the holy grail of this field, said Ed Zipser, an atmospheric scientist at the University of Utah and one of 3 program scientists helping to lead the Genesis and Rapid intensification process. So literally, I mean, he says the hurricane formation intensification is really the holy grail of this field. One of the lead scientists for the program. We want to see storms that become hurricanes, and we want to see some that don't become hurricanes so we can compare the data. The same is true for hurricane intensification. This is the project manager, Marilyn Vasquez. NASA used various weather modifying. I see question and answers. You emailed me. I'll check it out in a sec. Available technology included a powerful microwave radiometer and a radar, and a NASA designed and built LiDAR, or laser radar, which also debunks the globe, in case you were wondering. Laser radar were mounted on Global Hawks. And how ironic is that laser radar was on something you titled Global to heat the top of a hurricane? Bro. Laser radar was mounted on the Global Hawks and were used to heat the top of a hurricane to weaken a hurricane and steer them. So obviously the inverse can be accomplished. The radar that NASA used was the sea-based X-band radar, a floating, self-propelled, military-controlled and operated mobile radar station capable of operating in high winds and heavy seas. Yo, all they do is send their little, like, crazy powerful drone out there. Sea-based X-band radar platform is part of the U.S. Defense Department ballistic missile defense system. Very interesting. They are not weaponizing any weather, though. Its exterior was repainted with the Navy ship camouflage colors. 2005 was engaged in a 52-day deployment in the Gulf where it completed more than 100 major test activities. Oh, that reminds me. Actually, Jaren sent me this video of this guy that like the Gulf of Mexico is like gone. Like all the water's gone. Have you guys seen that? So Carpathian 9, thank you for the $10 Rockfin, and Arlet, thank you for the $10 Rockfin. Greatly appreciated. Thank you both. Moving on. They said it demonstrated the ability to achieve most of its major operational and sustainment capabilities. SBX was in the Gulf at the same time as Hurricane Katrina. What a coincidence. Formed on August 23, 2005. On Saturday, August 27, 2005, the storm reached Category 3 intensity on the Saffir-Simpson hurricane scale, becoming the third major hurricane of the season. An eye-wall replacement cycle disrupted the intensification but caused the storm to nearly double in size. Katrina again rapidly intensified, attaining Category 5 status on the morning of August 28th and reached its peak strength at 1 p.m., attaining sustained winds of 175 miles per hour and a central pressure of 902 mbar. Department of Homeland Security Science and Technology Directorate, which direct agencies from the Federal Emergency Management Agency to Immigration and Customs Enforcement, expressed major interest in this science of hurricane modification. It sounds kind of crazy and science fictionist, but it's really the direction we need to go in. Chris Doyle, head of DHS's Science and Technology Research Division, told a conference of the American Meteorological Society in May of 2008. This is crazy to me, dude. They discussed how hurricane steering could be used as a geopolitical tool. The major question of the conference was, where would scientists direct a storm, towards a less populated area or into major metropolitan areas? Steering a hurricane into small communities could wipe them out financially. Steering a hurricane into a farming community could wipe out crops. Steering a hurricane into a major city could cripple it for days, weeks, or even years. Hurricane Katrina and result in significant loss of life. Like Project Storm Fury, they were discussing how steering hurricanes could be used as a geopolitical weapon. Project Storm Fury was the first, we covered this attempt by scientists from the United States, and they messed up, they quote unquote messed up, and then they hit it into Savannah, Georgia. That was their first attempt. They steer tropical cyclones by flying aircraft into them and seeding with silver iodide. Cloud seeding was used to steer hurricanes as well as create bigger hurricanes. What? Why would you want to do that? Cloud seeding was used to steer hurricanes as well as create bigger hurricanes, which is what happened, by the way. When they first did it in Storm Fury, it became bigger and then got redirected and slammed into Savannah, Georgia. And now we're watching literal radar that we can see in the 21st century where the hurricane's like, oh, gonna go this way now. I think I'm gonna go this way right at the coast now. Get out of here. Just like on 9/11, that hurricane just goes right up and just chills and sits beside New York City. As soon as the attack's over, it takes off. Because, you could use directed energy weapon. You think about how much energy you get from a hurricane. Anyway, cloud seeding has since become a major proponent of the United States government's weather modification program, openly so, and then all the brain-dead, mind-numb zombies don't even care at all. They actually support it. The people that like go around defending the globe on Discord, for example, they support it. They argue for it. It's called Stockholm Syndrome. Today, it is known as chemtrailing, but like thin, toxic, and carcinogenic silver iodide is used to modify weather and steer hurricanes for geopolitical purposes. Totally cool. So hurricanes form when air warmed over the ocean rises to meet the cool upper atmosphere. Heat turns to kinetic energy, producing a spiral of wind and rain. The greater the temperature differences between top and bottom, and the narrower the eye of the hurricane, the faster it blows. Heating the top of hurricanes by scattering carbon particles or chemicals from aircraft flying above the storms would cause changes in the airflows within the storm. Quote-unquote satellites could also heat the cloud tops by beaming microwaves from space. Now, of course, they're not actually in space, and they're not actually satellites as have been defined, but there are clearly high-altitude craft all over the place. You can see them. And, you just send microwaves down at it and heat it up. It's It's the 21st century, bro. Yeah, no, I get it. Sounds crazy. So satellites could also heat the tops of them using microwaves. The unmanned X-37B is such a system. It was launched into orbit by the U.S. Air Force in Cape Canaveral using the Atlas. Isn't it funny? There you go, Greek mythology again. Purpose has been a secret until now, blah, blah, blah. So they call these spacecraft. Obviously, we know that they're not space the way it's being defined. It doesn't matter. We know that they're up there. So use phased array antenna. Composed of lots of radiating elements with a phase shifter. Beams are formed by shifting the phase of the signal emitted from. All right, anyway, I'll just drop this for you. I don't want to get to where I'm reading so much. You guys are kind of like, oh man, you're killing me. I think I may have already done that, but I mean, I know it's intense, heavy. It's information intense, but here's a storm fury hypothesis. You have the seeding, and then you break it up, and you're able to change the direction and guide it and steer it. This is very old technology, so this is the Environment Canada satellite infrared imagery of the U.S. East Coast. Now, this is obviously fake. This is a perfect depiction so you guys can see. This is what's not going on. The Earth is flat. Okay, when you shoot something horizontally, it just goes horizontally across the plane of Earth. They claim it just bounces up and down and lands where you need it to. And that Marconi just got lucky. By the way, he ended up shooting 10,000 miles, not just 2,200. But anyway, if you shoot something directly up, right? What's up here? What's up here that's shaped like a dome? Yeah, the container, obviously. So here's all kinds of stuff. HAARP patents, more patents. A method for producing a shell of relativistic particles at an altitude above the Earth's surface. Method and apparatus for creating an artificial electron cyclotron heating region of plasma. Power beaming system with printer circuit, radiating elements having resonating cavities. Folded cross grid dipole antenna element. Light wall focusing reflector for quote-unquote space. Artificial ionospheric mirror composed of a plasma layer which can be tilted. Creation of artificial ionization clouds above the Earth. Like, are you kidding me? I'll get a bunch more of these for you guys. It's just really triggering me right now. I'll get it for you in a little bit. I'll have to like go through a lot of the loops. Get it? Where were we just at? A defense system for discriminating objects between blah, blah, blah. Nuclear sized explosions without radiation. Which they've obviously lied to you about that. I don't know if you looked into that. So anyway, this is a good article to look at. It's got all kinds of patents. Like I said, I'll drop a bunch of the PDFs in there. I'll get it all finished tonight. Okay, let's go to the next thing I have for you guys. Now, in case that you're still kind of questioning, like I said, I had to kind of focus on, I kind of focus primarily on hurricanes because there's so much information. I might do more coherent presented. I did tomorrow. I haven't decided yet. But so here is the testimony. This is a government hearing, Senate hearing, government testimony about the modification of hurricanes. Got, John McCain, the psychopath here. And this is a testimony where they straight up talk about wanting to modify hurricanes. Oh, it's just a conspiracy theory. No, actually, here's the government sitting here talking about it. I'm honored to appear here today in regards of the Weather Modification Research and Technology Transfer Authorization Act. So I'll drop this for you guys. I mean, this is just silver bullet after silver bullet after silver bullet. I think I just saw somebody become a member. I don't want to miss you. Fruit Seeds, welcome to Miss Sweat Level 1. Hey. There you go. Thank you for becoming a member, brother. I don't know, you might be a girl. I'm sorry. Everyone give a round of applause. Thank you for becoming a member. Greatly appreciated. That's one of the number one things that's going to help the channel go. Is like patreon.com/WitsitGetsIt and then becoming a member. We can reach our goal here and then get some patrons. So I get it finished. And then if people could like donate when they can. It's what's going to be able to help. That would be residual. So it'll be able to help me actually stay afloat, of course. Miswit gang. All right. So anyway, like I said, this is a testimony. Pretty interesting. I'll drop it for you in the Telegram. And you can go to WitsitGetsIt.live. And that's where it'll be like a one-stop shop. You can get all the different links to the Discord, the Telegrams, all that. I encourage you getting Telegram if you don't have it. It's insane. You can drop all kinds of information. It's definitely awesome. Let's see here. So here's a hurricane modification presentation that was given. The recorded presentations here. We may watch a little bit of that in a second. This is the Department of Homeland Security. Yeah, Department of Homeland Security. Straight up explaining to you how you can actually modify hurricanes. It's the Hurricane Aerosol and Microphysics Program, a Hemp contribution. It's not a conspiracy. This just requires a little bit of research. We'll say that there's so much information, it's almost overwhelming. I'll also drop this in the Telegram, and like I said, we may watch this video in just a second. Or at least some of it. It's 16 minutes long. So here's the naval physicist that says the government controls hurricanes. I explained that he seeded clouds and dramatically increased rainfall in his theater of war, creating impassably muddy roads, slowing down the Vietnamese and Korean troops, and saving lives and entire towns from occupation. So they've been using this all the way since the Vietnam War, weather modification, cloud seeding. I think most people know that that exists, but they've actually managed to pull it off as if it's, again, Storm Fury was when they were trying to mess with hurricanes a long time ago. And so we're going to move on. I had to go to the Wayback Machine for this one as well. We already looked at that new debate over steering hurricanes, what they had to take up. I want to find... Here we go. Hurricanes replicated in a university lab. So the University of Miami spent roughly $45 million on an indoor laboratory with the ability to produce actual hurricanes with up to Category 5 level wind speeds reaching over 157 miles per hour. You don't think they can create a hurricane? Yeah, they literally can. Like public documentation of university laboratories in 2015 are replicating Category 5 hurricanes. Composed of a 70-foot long, 30,000 gallon capacity acrylic water tank equipped with a 1,700 horsepower fan and 12 paddle wave generator. We can create the equivalent of a hurricane with winds over 200 miles per hour. That's an off the charts Category 5. So, of course, the video is now unavailable. They don't want you to know about this. What are you going to do, man? The University of Miami's course is currently being struck with a gigantic hurricane. So, anyway, the point is that it's a methodology. Understanding the actual formation and intensification process of a hurricane, they've mastered it. They've known about it. They've been steering them and changing the magnitude of them for decades. They know that they can control the path that they go. And every time you see a hurricane with some type of convenient timing, know that it's not. It's just convenient. And if we know for a fact that they could redirect them away from America, then why are they hitting America all the time anyway? If you're just using this technology to save us, they're not. They're not. Obviously. So anyway, this just goes to show you that publicly funded university using like 50 mil can replicate it. And any little piece of information they get out of this, they utilize it. Of course, they pass it up with compartmentalization. So here's the path of Hurricane Ian. It will actually load. How dare you not load? Anyway, so it comes up here. I'll show you where it went. Goes around here and comes up through here and then goes like this. So now, of course, you could just have like strategically presented places. And then this guy walked out to the Gulf of Mexico and it's like all the water's gone for miles out. Very crazy. So it just comes up through here and then goes and then comes into the coast. Had to go to the Wayback Machine for this as well. Here's Japan and China accusing the U.S. of using HAARP program for catastrophic earthquakes. Let's see, red, white, and blue HAARP lights near the epicenter prior to the earthquake in China. Now this is crazy. I'll have to find that video I found, but I found it where These people have a video of like during a crazy earthquake, the whole sky becomes blue. It's very wild, bro. And so now this is basically evidence that they're messing with stuff, okay? So you have to ask yourself, what are the northern lights, right? The northern lights, well, it has like this crazy ionization, if you want to call it that, right? And so we know that obviously it's like getting closer and closer to the central magnetic field. Of course, you can't go to the center of the Earth, the surface of the Earth, for obvious reasons. They're hiding the true nature of the Earth. And then you get this magnetic field byproduct of the northern lights. And people report hearing all kinds of sounds near the northern lights, even that you can hear them. They have all kinds of crazy frequencies, right? And so you see it light up in the sky. Well, now we know that they're manipulating frequencies, literally, admittedly, manipulating frequencies in the sky. And now we see that in other countries, when they have a crazy earthquake, like I have the video, I'll try to find it. I found the video. Whenever they have an earthquake, the whole sky got blue, bro. It was like one of the craziest videos I've ever seen. The whole sky got blue during the earthquake. What's up with that? Taiwan satellites measured a 50% drop in ionospheric energy above the epicenter on the day before the quake. Both earthquakes targeted nuclear military facilities. Coincidence or war crime? I'm guessing that we won't be able to watch the video, though. I'm guessing this doesn't exist anymore. Okay, let's see if this is still on YouTube. I don't know. No. All right, anyway, so what I think we should do is play... See if this works. We'll play some of this over here. Thanks.
Good morning, everyone. The program I'm about to describe to you and about which this session is dedicated is one of the rare examples you'll find in our science of serendipity. And I'll explain more about how the serendipity played a role in the development of the Hurricane Aerosol and Microphysics program. Our focus is on producing scientific results that will lead to improved forecasting of both hurricane track, but especially improved forecasting on hurricane intensity changes. We are also evaluating the various hurricane mitigation hypotheses as a secondary objective, and it was the secondary objective, in fact, that led to the formation of Hemp. The program employs cutting-edge modeling and observations, and I'll give you a brief survey of that, and there'll be much more detail about that during the rest of the session. So Hemp is focused on identifying and testing some hurricane mitigation hypotheses. And how many times have we been to workshops, especially as I recall my 42-year career and all, how many times have we been to workshops when the sole output was a report and not much else? Well, remarkably, and this is where the serendipity comes in, we were asked at the Global Systems Division in Boulder to organize a workshop on hurricane mitigation work that might have been done.
I'm just going to play a few minutes of this because I know it's not for everyone. Like I said, I'll drop this in the Telegram.
By a Undersecretary of Science and Technology in the Department of Homeland Security. And this workshop was held in Boulder. It was sponsored by DHS. It was hosted in Boulder by Israel, but it's just a little over 2 years ago. Out of that has sprung the Hurricane Aerosols and Microphysics program. These are the participants And all of these individuals are present with us today, and several of them will be getting papers in the remainder of this session. These are the key scientific objectives that we have in HAARP. We want to quantitatively test the most promising mitigation hypotheses by the use of rigorous numerical simulations supported by necessary observations of tropical cyclones. We also want to coordinate this particular program and use data from the NOAA
Again, just so you understand, this is a government presentation.
VHS-supported Wisdom project and the Unmanned Aerospace Vehicles project, Unmanned Aerospace Systems project that NOAA is currently running with NASA and other agencies. We are particularly keen about getting observations that we need for the Hemp project with the NOAA P3s. And I'll say a little more about that as we go on. One of the things that the group feels very strongly, and we think we'll demonstrate in this session, is that not only are aerosols a vital component of atmospheric processes, and they play roles in larger scale processes, but they also affect cloud microphysics and dynamics, and that aerosols affect the cloud microphysics and dynamics in a very fundamental way, a very important way, that we feel has been neglected in tropical cyclones. The aerosols can increase the updraft velocities, they can change drop size distributions, they can transform some ordinary tropical clouds into thunderstorms, and we feel that they affect the intensity changes and perhaps even the tracks of hurricanes. So this project is focused on looking at the cloud microphysical processes explicitly. So these.
Thank you so much, Lisa, for the $20 super sticker. Very generous. Really appreciate it. You guys are the best.
These are the various hypotheses that we're looking at, and I want to emphasize.
How dare you?
That it's really this first one that we've been looking at in the short history of Hemp. I should tell you that the Hemp project was initially funded about 15 months ago, but we really didn't get the funding started until just barely a year ago. So the initial work you're going to hear about today is primarily looking at the role of very small submicron-sized aerosols in tropical clouds and tropical cyclones. The other hypotheses that we've listed here were summarized at the workshop 2 years ago, and these might be addressed by our modeling and observational work if we go on to phase 2 in the Hemp project.
Okay, like I said, I know that's not for everyone. It's very interesting, though. I encourage everyone to finish the final 10 minutes. It's in the Telegram as the government presentation on weather or hurricane modification. Okay, so we've covered a lot of the documents I've had. Like I said, we could go through like huge amounts of documents, but I know that this was kind of information heavy stream that was like 2 hours and 20 minutes of just like straight documents and me reading and stuff. But you know, truthers are a rare type of people. They like to research things. So I do encourage everyone going to the Telegram. I think it is t.me/WitsitStreams. There you go. I'll drop it in the chat. There you go. And of course, you can go here. It'll have the current live stream. It'll have my playlists. Have the on the drop down menu, it has Patreon, Rockfin, PayPal, all that. And we're going to keep updating that. We'll have the merch out soon. And also stay tuned for a nice little surprise Jaron and I have for you guys. See a tip on Rockfin, so let me over here. We appreciate all that you do here on Minnesota's Iron Range. Thanks, bro. Thank you for the kind words and the $20 tip on Rockfin Clark. Really appreciate it, brother. Thank you very much. I appreciate you. I don't know why it's not showing up on Rockfin, but I got the text, so. All right, cool. Cool. So anyway, in conclusion, basically, I don't find it to be a coincidence. Anytime I see coincidental timing when it comes to the weather, I don't think it is a coincidence. And so, like I said, I gave you the quote from the Secretary of Defense of the United States in the 90s talking about how there's electromagnetic waves that can manipulate and trigger volcanoes and earthquakes. We see all kinds of crazy earthquakes. If you look into the sketchiness of the Clintons' connection to Haiti, what they did when it came to child trafficking at that time. And you just look at all the sketchiness around that. In general, 200,000 people dying. It just gets really weird. And you see how much that actually ended up benefiting the United States. You see all these foreign countries saying that America has threatened them with earthquakes, has hit them with earthquakes. What I do want to do is try to find... I'm going to try to find where the sky goes blue. They're really crazy. And there's also something else that you guys may have heard of. They're called skyquakes. And it's like this crazy sound that comes from the sky. Anyone else buffering? Not buffering on my YouTube. Oh yeah, kind of maybe it is. I don't know. Looks like it's not buffering on mine. I don't know. Okay, let me see if we can find this here. Yes, I found it. Perfect. So this is an earthquake in Mexico. This is crazy to me, bro. Watch this. This is an earthquake in Mexico, and watch what happens to the sky. I get, obviously, you can say it's just a lightning storm, but the whole sky turns blue, bro. It's very weird when you know what frequency manipulation would do. If you were causing an earthquake with frequency manipulation, this would be a byproduct. That happened here, but the sky turned purple. That's crazy, yeah. I think there would be a whole spectrum of colors, just like how the northern lights are green. Like there's an earthquake and the whole sky's turning blue. And this is just the Earth like seeking equilibrium because of electricity. Look at that. And so it's no coincidence, of course, that they're tied together. Just on a basic physics symbol. Like here it is, kind of purple right there. What is that? I don't know if that building's putting something off. I'm not sure. Here comes some more blue. Look at that, bro. I think that's wild. And the idea that they're messing with something doing that is it's just an insane idea. It's insane that like there are people in the world that would do something like that. Like I said, I just showed you the proof of it. I showed you the proof coming from the government themselves, saying that they've been messing with this for a long time and experimenting with it. So I'm just going to kind of wrap it up with my opinion on all of it, and then I'll read the donations if there are any donations. But so again, if you want to donate, I'm going to read them off in a second. So $WitsitGetsIt on Cash App. You can go to paypal.me/inaworld, or you can go to WitsitGetsIt.live. Donate there and send a message on all of those, and I will read them off in just a second. You can also join and become a member. We're only 254 away from our goal. So we're 15% there. But anyway. Yeah, so again, I do think that they could actually increase passivity of the population using, frequency manipulation. And this has been proven, and it's been done with animals, arguably inhumanely. Like I said, Yale University has documentation of this going way, way back. And physical mind control, physical control of the mind is the book. And it's just really crazy, man. It's really crazy the idea that they could do that. And that's not just some crazy conspiracy theory. You can literally prove it. And they try to say, oh, look, it just does 3 million watts and blah, blah. No, actually, it gets concentrated into a beam of 1 billion watts. And just like they showed you in that documentary, in the document that was not published publicly, they admit that their aim and their goal is to get up to 100 billion watts. And then just like they said, that documentation of the guy wanting to utilize it for weaponry said that that's where he needed to get 100 billion watts. And so what a coincidence that the military is saying that's what they want to use, but they don't release that to the public. And then they have this innocent cover story that it's just all about scientific research. And yeah, DARPA, DARPA just wants to do stuff for the good of mankind and for scientific research, as they come up with like mosquito drones and all this crazy weaponry, like electromagnetic pulses and electromagnetic propagation over a flat earth with the ground weapon systems that burn your skin and all this crazy stuff, right? Where they want to manipulate you mentally and psychologically, make you think that you're hearing the voice of a creator. And I mean, these are not people that seem to have real moral guidelines or a moral compass, right? And this is the primary people, them in the Air Force. And I just showed you the Air Force straight up says that they want to weaponize the weather by 2025. And that was in the late 90s. They admit they want to do it. And now when you try to look up that document, it's gone. I had to use a Wayback Machine and download the PDF. It's in the Telegram. Air Force document lays it all out. They want to weaponize the weather by 2025. Well, it looks like they already are. And again, I'm not trying to put you in a state of fear. This is something so far beyond any of your control. You can't be scared of it. That makes no sense. Thank you, Flat Smack, for... I missed your donation. Keep up the amazing work, brother. Love from Southwest UK. Thank you very much for the kind words. And is that £5 super chat? Thank you, guys. 82. Now, I just saw where someone else popped up. I don't see it. It said someone, oh, you donated $30 probably somewhere else, huh? I'll read it in just a second. I'll read everything other than the super chats in just a second. But thank you, guys, 82. All the super chats I'll read right now, and then I'll read the PayPals and everything in a second. Okay, so they can manipulate your brain, bro. I mean, I'm not saying that they can fully take you over, mind control. They can't. Certainly if you're right with the creator, man. Like, I think that if you're like right with Yah and like you have sincere, pure intentions and you're trying to grow with him via humility and stuff like that, I think you're good. And I think if you live in like a frequency of truth and you resonate within that frequency of truth, you have this aura that really can't be messed with. And that's why they want to inject you. And they want to lower your frequency, lower your aura. They want to like throw off the electric nature of the natural resonance that you were created with. And yeah, I think that if you live in this like where you're just eating crazy, you're not drinking any water, but predominantly, as much as diets is important and exercise is important, and like walking around without your shoes off, or at least occasionally sitting outside with your shoes off and stuff, I think all that's important. But I think that state of mind is hands down the most important. I think that if you live in a state of fear, you could do all those things and still, like basically counterbalance it, like counteract it. I think you have to like rise above that and like have hope and like do what's right and pursue truth. And I think that you're kind of protected against these kind of things. I think that if you're malleable and you aren't doing those things and you're doing things for malevolent purposes with no moral guideline or compass, or you promote atheism or nihilism or materialism, and you live in such a way where you think there's no moral accountability, you're going to be very vulnerable to frequencies. Long story short, I would be interested in a scientific experiment, but it wouldn't be done humanely, where you could actually test the manipulation of someone's brain waves via introduction of certain low level frequencies, like extremely ELF, extremely low frequencies, relative to their moral compass and their relationship with the creator and stuff like that, and see how much it alters because it shows that you can have like drastic alteration of mood and stuff like that. But anyway, so it does look like they could do this, and this would be in all kinds of different places other than what is publicly acknowledged in HAARP. I saw that question and answers actually email me other locations, so we'll pull that up and look at that real fast. And then, of course, I think that you can, of course, everything's electric. So like harness coherent, concentrated electromagnetic pulses or waves. And again, now, waves aren't things in and of themselves. They're just a type of movement. So what exactly is electromagnetic energy? That's a great question, but... Okay, look, I think he sent me other locations. So let's look at this real fast. So in the United States, we have... Of course, we got... Dang, they got 3 up here in Alaska. They got 1 in Colorado. And they got 1 over here on the East Coast. 2 in South America. Do they have 1 near Norway? Very interesting. It's crazy how they got them all over Alaska. Look at their cool little... You know how the globe is... You know how the globe is so right? Look at its time zones. Yeah, totally legit. And then you'll have like a... You'll have an island right here, and they'll have 3-hour different sunset. Anyway, that's interesting. Thanks for sending me that. What are these other HAARP locations? Locations that do the same thing, where they send frequencies towards the quote-unquote ionosphere, and they manipulate. Again, what they say is that they basically push the ionosphere up into space. They displace it, and then they're able to manipulate different things with that. And they're just trying to study how to manipulate the ionosphere and the magnetosphere. And they're trying to manipulate the magnetic field of the Earth. And obviously what they're doing in the ionosphere is no coincidence. At 50 to 400 miles, you mean it's where the firmament is. And then based on its magnetic permeability and dielectric permittivity. So we don't know the answers to that question, like exactly what it is. And then of course they're going to determine distance based on like how long it takes the signal to get back or whatever. And they're going to presuppose a vacuum. So they're going to presuppose the medium, look at the duration, apply it to that. I'm not going to actually accurately apply absorption rate to certain magnetic permeability or dielectric permittivity levels. Long story short is they're just gathering the information within their presuppositions, and then they're gaining replication or repeatability through the data itself. So when they say that they're going to this magical place called the ionosphere, I mean, it looks like they're actually just messing with the firmament. But anyway, that's what they're doing. They're sending concentrated waves up in the sky, and as you just saw, that they have these programs all over the place. There's probably things that you don't know about, let's be honest, obviously. The point is that they can weaponize the weather. The Air Force says they want to do it by 2025, and that means they've already done it. And that's earthquakes, volcanoes. You know how we got this whole idea of this volcano breaking off and then creating like a tidal wave that comes over to the East Coast? Well, they control these things. I think that they're not as near as control as maybe they would like to be. I think that the Earth is so strong, the amount of energy and its like ability to sustain like equilibrium is so like incredible that they can only do a bit. They can do like little ripples in a bucket basically, but I think they're doing everything that they can. Just the open mission statement of CERN itself, regardless if it's all fake or they're doing something other than what they say, regardless of what it is, regardless of the shroud of the subatomic particle pseudoscience in which it exists within, none of that matters. The point is that it just shows you the state of mind of these people where they're like, huh, if we're successful, we'll create a parallel universe with a black hole and we have no idea what will come out of it. What? Right? So these people are crazy. They have no wisdom. They have no discernment. So long story short, yeah, like it looks like they weaponize weather, bro. And I just think it's important to kind of show people, like I think this should wake up a lot of people. Like chemtrails aren't, if you look it up, they say chemtrails don't exist. They're all just contrails. They dissipate super quickly. They've been doing it since the 50s, which there has been contrails coming out of planes since the 50s. And like stupid conspiracy theorists just made up some story about how they're chemtrails. I just showed you a senator talking about the use of chemtrails. I have dropped in the Telegram 3 dozen documents at least. They admit that they do cloud seeding and weather modification with silver iodide, aluminum, different types of metal, barium, strontium. They manipulate the weather via cloud seeding, dried ice, and silver iodide. And these are toxic carcinogenic elements, compounds, and they don't care. And yeah, it just seems crazy to me, right? And so this ties back into the big deception that since we don't understand electrics, like the electric nature and exactly what electricity is and like the electric nature of the earth, we can't even understand what they're doing, much less ever combat it or call them out. Think about it. They're using conductive metal at the higher levels within the clouds, which are electrostatic and held together, and they defy the idea of this magic thing called gravity and all that. Because everything is electric, and that's what sets the up and down, and that's why the clouds stay there. That's why the clouds stay together, and that's why whenever it achieves a certain polarity, then the rain falls down. And that's why they're introducing a certain amount of electricity and making things rain. They're using electricity to make it rain. Duh. So you mean electricity is making things fall down? That's right. Electricity is making things fall down. Duh. That's what it does. You didn't know? And I mean, I can't imagine a better scientific experiment than like freaking making it rain with electricity. So we see it naturally rains. We have a naturally occurring observable phenomenon. It's called rain. They come from things called clouds. They're all electric and use electrostatics to stay together and to hold the rain together. We can then test our independent variable of electricity, holding the clouds together, keeping the rain, and then based on certain polarity of electricity, then allowing the rain to fall. We're going to test the independent variable of electricity, and we're going to shoot electricity at the cloud, and now it rains on command. Therefore, proving that the cause and effect relationship is electricity when it comes to directionality of clouds and rain. But anyway, I digress. Yeah, I just think it's crazy, man. I think it's crazy. So when you look at this stuff like Hurricane Ian or like the perfectly timed hurricanes, like, oh, we're going to the moon, not today. You know, they've been working with this stuff for a long time. I don't want to scare anyone. I'm not asking anyone to be scared. But it is always important to inform yourself, and this could wake people up. Just show them the documents. Be like, you know that the government weaponizes weather, including earthquakes, volcanoes, hurricanes. They use chemtrails. Cloud seeding to control weather patterns. You can show them the NASA video where they just pump out giant clouds into the sky. If you look in the video in my trailer, you'll see that it shows like right before a hurricane, you see these crazy circular patterns of pulses happening, and then the hurricane happens. They create hurricanes. They create the hurricanes. Actually, I want to play the trailer one more time. It's just 2 minutes long. And look in the trailer and look at the part where it says hurricanes, and look at because I don't know exactly where it's at right now. And look at, actually, I think I do know where it's at. Yeah, I don't see it. So this might be it. All right, I think I found it. I want to show you guys. This is crazy, and then we'll read the chat. We'll read the tips.
Bitter heat in the summer.
Yeah, this shows on the radar that there are these crazy circles right around where the hurricane happens. Here they are. Okay. Sorry about that. All right, guys, look at this. This is crazy. Look at, you see these circles right here? What is that, bro? And then a hurricane comes. Look at that. Yeah, I just think that's crazy. So cool. Yeah, I mean, I think that we show pretty much without reasonable doubt that, like, for many, many decades, the government's looking into weather modification, the weaponization of weather. And again, I showed you guys the PDF itself explaining it. The Air Force. And I just think, I mean, dude, it's just crazy. It's crazy to ignore it. It's whatever, though. I think we've covered it in depth. I might really kind of explain. I didn't really have time. I started making a presentation like on PowerPoint. I just didn't really have time. So I'm sorry that it was kind of all over the place and I was kind of reading a lot, but can I get a link for that last video? I don't have the link. I have it downloaded. If I find the link, I'll drop it in Telegram. Everyone should just get Telegram. Yep. All right, cool. Let me check out the tips. Flat Smack, you sent a question mark? That was what you sent? Thank you for the donation on PayPal through the website. Just a question mark. But thank you, Flat Smack, for the donation. Let me see if there's anything. There's not, but I think I got a couple. Thank you, David, for the Cash App. Thank you, Rodney, for the Cash App. And let me check. Carrie said, long-time follower, keep on going on. Thank you for the PayPal, and will do. All right, cool. That was it. Anyone send any more donations, I will, of course, read them off on the chat. I have to check the other PayPal. I haven't checked in a while, so if there's anything on there I haven't read off, I'll read you guys off the next time. I have to make sure I can get into it. All right, cool. Anyway, thank you guys for kicking it. Yeah, I just wanted to cover it because obviously they're messing with the weather. You know how it goes. I know it was kind of like just real like me read documents, and it was, you know, not for everyone, but cool stuff. So I hope you guys enjoy the stream. Like I said, I really encourage you to go into Telegram and you'll get all the documents. I may put together a more concise presentation breaking down each different thing real fast. And it might be like a part 2 tomorrow. I'm not positive. Check your email if you donated to the PC, please. Check your email. And, you know, it'd be cool if you email me back. Austin, thank you for your time. Much appreciated. No problem. Thank you. View stream. Not sure what that means, but. I don't know what that means. Greg T. It needed to be covered, yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. And like I said, it was just insane the amount of information. I feel like I already kind of got to where it was like, oh man, do I have to take a test? All right, so seek and speak truth unequivocally. The weak find contentment in the consensus of ignorance. So who cares what other people think? You know, informed people don't care what ignorant people think. A lot of people don't know about this. Doesn't make it less true. Doesn't mean the government's not doing it. Doesn't mean it's just openly admitted that they want to weaponize the weather via the Air Force and that DARPA's been working on it and that HAARP is a real thing and that it uses the frequencies that can manipulate your brain. Now, not literally take over your brain again. I've already given my disclaimer on that. I think it has to do with your weakness, your vulnerability in the frequency terms. But yeah, and just always seek and speak truth unequivocally, no matter what. And, you know, the weak find contentment in the consensus of ignorance. So, like, who cares what they think? You kind of got to look at them like a child. You know not what they do. You know, forgive them and kind of exercise empathy and just hope that one day they'll get it. Yeah, and whenever they revile you for his name's sake or for the truth's sake, rejoice, for they did it to all the prophets before you. Over here. I think this is going to work. So, hopefully, the credits work. Not. You know, maybe a little. We're getting there. I think I might switch over to Streamlabs to be able to collab with people on the camera. So anyway, we got a lot of stuff coming. I'm working out the details with Bryant. We should be doing that debate next week. He was in Florida, so we weren't able to do it this week, but it looks like we'll do it next week. So stay tuned for that. I'm gonna probably start doing a Sunday morning show where we just kind of chill, hang out. It'll be called Biscuits and Gravy. So cool. And yeah, support what you like or it goes away. You guys know the deal. Got a lot more stuff coming. I want to try to get ahead of schedule so I can actually give you guys like PowerPoint presentations. Just a lot. I'm trying to work on everything, get all the videos done. You guys know how it goes. But anyway, thanks for kicking it. I'll catch up with you guys tomorrow. Should be able to catch up with you guys tomorrow. Again, if you did anything with the PC, please check your email. And I'll catch up with you guys on the flip side. Peace out.
Wonder, is it real?